Chapter 52. Xing Hui glanced at the two of them. Although Wu Ju was a blood transformation expert, he had lost an arm and had less than 60% of his cultivation left. Now he was being chased by a large number of experts and had been stabbed several times. He was on the verge of death and was completely relying on his sister, Wu Yuyao, to carry him to escape. Wu Yuyao was still young and only had the strength of the marrow-cleansing realm. She would be considered an expert in some small cities, but in King Fu's capital, she was not even worth mentioning. While being chased, she had also reached her limits and her mental state was on the verge of collapse. However, the grudge between them had been resolved with Wu Hunyuan's death and Wu Ju's compensation of 1 million gold. Xing Hui would not waste time on them. After glancing at the two of them, he quickly withdrew his gaze and was about to leave. But at that moment, the dying Wu Ju seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw. He forcefully raised his mental state and shouted weakly. Then, ignoring his injuries, he knelt before Xing Hui and said, "Prince Xing Hui, please wait. Please save my sister Yuyao." "Brother." Xing Hui glanced at the two of them. He could not think of a reason to save them. "Prince Xing Hui, I know that I have offended you before, but I already know my mistakes and have paid the price for my foolish actions. I, Wu Ju, have offended Prince Xing Hui. My death is not to be regretted, but my sister has a kind heart. She is innocent. Prince Xing Hui, please be merciful and save my sister." After Wu Ju finished speaking, he kowtowed to Xing Hui in desperation. His forehead heavily hit the ground, causing it to bleed. Xing Hui glanced at Wu Ju, and then at the people from the Demon Hunters Union, who were chasing in this direction. His expression did not change much as he said, "I have no reason to save you. I'm seriously injured and will definitely die. Moreover, I didn't know what's good for me and offended Prince Xing Hui. My death is not enough to be regretted. I only ask that Prince Xing Hui save my sister. As long as Prince Xing Hui is willing, I, Wu Ju, will work like an ox or a horse in my next life to repay Prince Xing Hui's kindness." Wu Ju said mournfully. In the end, he kowtowed again and again. Soon his forehead was blood red. The son of the president of the Union of Demon Hunters had completely lost his power after the death of Wu Hunyuan. Together with the millions of gold coins that his family had brought to the Union of Demon Hunters, a lot of people in the Union of Demon Hunters added insult to injury. Not only were all his properties taken away, his own life was in danger too. "Prince Xing Hui, I know that you are a good person. Please save my brother." To the side, Wu Yuyao also knelt down and begged sorrowfully. Although she appeared to be in a rather sorry state at this moment, it still couldn't conceal the gentle and virtuous natural beauty on her body, especially the light yellow dress on her body, which had been torn apart by the leaves in her panicked escape, revealing her forearms and the snow-white skin at her waist. It added a delicate beauty to her, and at first glance it was breathtaking. No wonder that so-called young Master Long Quan was willing to help the Demon Hunters Union fill the millions of gold coins whole in order to buy her. Unfortunately, Xing Hui had no intention of interfering in this matter. Seeing Xing Hui turn and leave without hesitation, and hearing the shouts coming from afar, Wu Ju's eyes flashed with deep despair. His face was filled with regret. His family was ruined. If he had not relied on his identity as the son of the president of the Demon Hunters Union to act arrogant and despotic in the Divine Armament Tower, and refused to forgive Xing Hui, how could he have ended up in such a situation? Intense regret engulfed his heart, making him want to howl to the sky. At this time, Wu Yuyao suddenly had the courage to quickly come to Xing Hui and beg, "Prince Xing Hui, please save my brother. As long as you can save my brother, I am willing to do anything you want me to do. Even if I have to be a slave or a maid, I will not hesitate." Xing Hui frowned and was about to say something, but at this time, a special wave turned into a message that suddenly sounded in his mind. "Discovered Dao Vessel. Do you want to fuse it?" It was the voice of the Chaos Temple. "Dao Vessel?" Xing Hui's gaze immediately fell on Wu Yuyao in front of him. Dao vessels could only be sensed when they were 10 meters away. Wu Ju was still 10 meters away from him, but Wu Yuyao, in order to stop him, was only 4 meters away from him. She had a Dao vessel on her? A Dao vessel would at least have a little Dao aura. And a little Dao aura was usually worth a 5th or 6th level divine weapon. For a moment, Xing Hui's gaze was constantly sizing up Wu Yuyao, as if he wanted to find the location of the Dao vessel on her body. Being sized up by Xing Hui, Wu Yuyao's heart was filled with humiliation and fear. But in order to save her brother, she had to straighten her slender waist and do her best to show her beautiful side, hoping to use her value to exchange for Xing Hui's help. Xiao, Xiao, Xiao. At this time the pursuers finally caught up. As the bushes and trees in front of them were separated, several figures appeared at the scene at the same time. Seeing Wu Ju and Wu Yuyao, the leading blood transformation realm old man's eyes suddenly lit up, and he excitedly shouted, "Here, here, haha! Vice President Yan's 30,000 gold reward will finally fall into my hands. Young Master Wu Ju, in order for the new president to safely lead the Demon Hunters Association to prosperity, I can only ask you to die. As for young Miss Wu, you can obediently serve young Master Long Quan in the future." However, when the Viscera Refinement Realm expert behind him saw Xing Hui behind Wu Yuyao, his pupils suddenly shrank. His pleasant surprise instantly turned into fear. "You, it's you. The blood transformation realm expert named Old Wu also saw Xing Hui. His hands were still fine, so it was obvious that he hadn't experienced the battle at the Divine Weapon Tower. Seeing that Xing Hui was young, he immediately sneered. "Where did this brat come from? My Demon Hunters Association has matters to attend to, and you still dare to stay here? Scram!" Xing Hui Captain Wu, this is Cho Xing Hui." The Viscera Refinement Realm expert who recognized Xing Hui's identity was so frightened that his voice trembled. "What Xing Hui? Pak Hui, he's just a brat." Captain Wu waved his hand with a disdainful expression. However, in just a moment, he seemed to have thought of something and his face suddenly became deathly pale. "Cho Xing Hui? The Cho Xing Hui who killed President Wu, Sword Rain Scholar, and slaughtered the 5 great guests of the Third Prince's residence? Yes, it's him." This Viscera Refinement Realm expert fiercely nodded his head. Suddenly, Captain Wu felt his legs go soft, as if he couldn't even stand properly. With a frightened expression, he turned to Xing Hui. "Prince Xing Hui, it's a misunderstanding, I didn't know it was Prince Xing Hui." Clang. What answered him was the sound of a treasured sword being unsheathed. Accompanied by a flash of sword light, the treasured sword returned to its sheath. Captain Wu's smile, which was full of fear and flattery, suddenly froze. In the next moment, a stream of blood blossomed from between his eyebrows. The sword aura had already pierced through the space between his eyebrows. Seeing that Captain Wu didn't even have the chance to react before being killed, the remaining experts of the Demon Hunter Union were all frightened into silence. They didn't dare to move an inch. "Tell the higher-ups of the Demon Hunter Union that I'm protecting the 2 of them. If anyone doesn't want to let this go, tell them to come find me." Hearing Xing Hui's words, the remaining people all felt as if they had been pardoned. Yes. We'll definitely tell our president. If Prince Xing Hui wants them, our Demon Hunter Union wouldn't dare to not give them to him. We'll return now and tell the others that we won't chase after the 2 of them anymore. Thank you, Prince Xing Hui, for sparing our lives. Thank you, Prince Xing Hui. We'll take our leave. The remaining people responded with a panicked expression. They didn't dare to stay at the scene for even half a second longer. One by one, they fled as fast as they could, disappearing into the forest in the blink of an eye. Chapter 53. Brother. Wu Yuyao's sorrowful voice resounded through the forest just as Captain Wu and the others were escaping. Wu Ju was dead. He had only managed to hang on until now, because of his determination to protect Wu Yuyao. Now that Qing Su had intervened and saved Wu Yuyao, his wish had been fulfilled. Now that he had let go of his last breath, he would naturally die. Xing Hui didn't say anything about this. He wasn't good at comforting people. Wu Yuyao cried by herself for half an hour before she finally accepted the reality in front of her. She was still afraid of Xing Hui and didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of him. She had to dig the ground herself to bury Wu Ju's body. Xing Hui saw her slow down and unsheathed the green cloud sword. Sword chi overflowed. In an instant, a hole with a diameter of 2 meters and a depth of 1 meter was formed. "Thank you." Wu Yuyao thanked him softly, and then pushed Wu Ju into the hole and piled up the soil. By the time she used a piece of wood to erect the torched tombstone, 2 hours had already passed. Seeing that Wu Yuyao was almost done, Xing Hui asked, "What valuable things do you have on you?" "Valuable things?" Wu Yuyao was still immersed in grief, but out of fear of Xing Hui, she didn't dare to not answer his question. After a while, she took out a sparkling gem and asked softly, "Is this what Prince Xing Hui is talking about?" "Yes, it is." Xing Hui felt the slight movement of the Chaos Temple in his mind and nodded slightly. As he held the gem in his hand, the Chaos Temple's prompt sounded again. "Discovered Dao-carrying object, Dao Aura value 2. Do you want to integrate it?" This number surprised Xing Hui. Moreover, this gem seemed to be separated from a whole body, and there seemed to be other parts. Xing Hui looked at Wu Yuyao. "Do you know the origin of this object?" "This was something my father obtained by chance the last time he went out of the desolate Cloud Mountain range to pursue a spirit beast. Because of its gorgeous color, my father kept it and passed it to me in the end." When Wu Yuyao said this, she seemed to think of her father, Wu Hunyuan, and her expression couldn't help but turn gloomy. "Last time, did anyone know where these gems came from?" "Following my father to the desolate Cloud Mountain range, there are 12 members of the 1st Brigade led by Captain Xianyu. If Prince Xing Hui wants to find this item, he will have to find the other members of the 1st Brigade to lead the way." "Where are they? Take me to them." Other than the captain and vice-captain of the 1st Brigade, only 3 of the 10 people are left. The remaining 9 have all died. At this point, Wu Yuyao looked at Xing Hui in fear. Obviously, those 9 people were killed by Xing Hui. Of the remaining 3, Uncle Ning Shan died 2 days ago to help the 2 of us break out of the encirclement. Uncle Huang Shang lost an arm and was killed by an enemy. Only Uncle Zhou Buwei saw that the situation was bad and escaped from the Lorraine Kingdom. Currently, I don't know where Uncle Zhou is. His whereabouts are unknown. Xing Hui's brows furrowed. This world was different from Earth. There was a network everywhere. Looking for a person was like looking for a needle in a haystack. However, if they could use thousands of people to do a carpet search, they might be able to find Zhou Buwei's whereabouts. It was just a matter of time. Manpower, the Lorraine royal family. If Xing Hui owed Nailan Fei a favor, he might be able to let the Lorraine royal family find Zhou Buwei's whereabouts. However, this way, there was the risk of being exposed. "How's the relationship between Zhou Buwei and your father?" "Uncle Zhou is loyal to my father. The members of the 1st Demon Hunter team are all my father's confidants. Uncle Zhou escaped because he knew that he had no other choice." "Good. Where's the nearest branch of the Demon Hunters Guild?" "This place is only 300 kilometers away from the Lorraine Royal Capital. The largest branch is naturally the Lorraine Royal Capital branch. However, 200 kilometers ahead, at the foot of the Cloud Wilderness mountain range, there's 100 Desolation City. The city isn't big, but because it's backed by the Cloud Wilderness mountain range, our Demon Hunters Guild has stationed many powerhouses there. It can be considered one of the top 5 branches in the Lorraine Kingdom. To the 100 Desolation City, Xing Hui said and leaped onto the horse. After a moment, he glanced at Wu Yuyao, who was in a sorry state because she had been fleeing for the past few days. He had no choice but to extend his hand. "Get on the horse." Wu Yuyao bit her lips. Riding on the same horse as a stranger, this was something that she had never experienced before. However, due to her fear of Xing Hui, she did not dare to refuse. She could only extend her hand and let Xing Hui pull her into his embrace. "Sit tight," Xing Hui said, and did not have any other thoughts. There was a person living in his heart, and he had a promise to her. His promise to her had already filled his heart, and he would not give up any space for anyone else. A distance of 200 kilometers would take 5 to 6 hours for an ordinary horse, not to mention 2 people riding on it. When night fell, Xing Hui and Wu Yuyao appeared outside the 100 Desolation City. The 100 Desolation City was similar to the Cloud Wilderness mountain range. It was a war fortress that defended against the attacks of the ferocious beasts in the Cloud Wilderness mountain range. It was built very tall, and was guarded by an army. Due to its proximity to the desolate Cloud Mountain Range, most of the passers-by in 100 Desolation City were martial artists. Even if there were some ordinary residents who weren't martial artists, they more or less had some foundation in cultivation, causing the people here to be swift and fierce, and powerhouses to emerge in an endless stream. Prince Tsinghui, may I know why we came to the 100 Desolation City? Zhou Buwei is being hunted down, so he must be hiding very well, and will not show up easily. However, once the Demon Hunters Guild stops persecuting you, and the news that you are in the 100 Desolation City spreads, he will take the initiative to come to you. Tsinghui said. But, Mr. Qing Su, if you're here too, the people of the Union of Demon Hunters won't let you go easily once they learn about your whereabouts. I understand, Tsinghui said. Although the Demon Hunters Union had many powerhouses, Nalan Fei probably wouldn't just stand by and watch if they really didn't give up. A powerhouse who had cultivated qi into aura with a bright future. Anyone who wanted to offend him would have to think twice. Furthermore, the people who stood at the pinnacle of the Demon Hunters Guild were only at Immortal Level 2. With the Green Firmament Sword, he was confident that he would not be weaker than any of the Immortal Level 2 powerhouses. Other than the Green Firmament Sword, he also had a 4th Order Flying Sword. With this sword, he could advance and retreat as he pleased, coming and going as he pleased. This method was somewhat dangerous, and he needed to owe Nalan Fei a favor and take advantage of her power to act. However, it was the best method he could think of at the moment. It seems that I have to write a letter to Nalan Fei, Tsinghui thought to himself, but he had already arrived in front of the Demon Hunters Guild. That is, when the 2 guards of the Demon Hunters Guild saw Wu Yuyao, their eyes lit up slightly. Then one of them winked and immediately sent someone to report. The other person quickly greeted with a smile. Miss, you're back? How did Miss become like this? Please come in. Tsinghui glanced at the guard and did not speak. He followed Wu Yuyao into the Demon Hunters Guild. Not long after they stepped into the Demon Hunters Guild, a group of dozens of people quickly surrounded them. Then, a man with the cultivation of the blood transformation realm laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. I can wear out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it without any effort. I didn't think that young Master Long Quan's reward would be mine in the end. President Tong Fei. Wu Yuyao looked at the man who had obviously turned to the new president, and her eyes dimmed slightly. In the past, when her father was still alive, these people were all courteous to her and doted on her. But today people were gone, and the tea was cold. This made her truly see through the fickleness of human nature. Haha, since young Miss Yu Yao has delivered herself to me, I presume you've thought it through. I, Tong Fei, will not treat you unfairly. Before young Master Long Quan sends people to take you away, I'll definitely provide you with good food and drink until... Tong Fei laughed loudly, his face full of pride. However, before he finished laughing, he glanced at Tsinghui from the corner of his eyes. Suddenly, as if his neck was suddenly grabbed, his laughter stopped abruptly. Qing. Prince Tsinghui. Chapter 54. Don't be rude. Don't be rude to Prince Tsinghui. After recognizing Qing Su's identity, Tong Fei hurriedly yelled at the experts of the Union of Demon Hunters in the surroundings. He was afraid that they would be reckless enough to offend Qing Su and bring disaster to their branch. After stopping the ordinary people of the Yao Hunters Union, he bowed to Tsinghui with sweat on his forehead. So it's Prince Tsinghui. I apologize for not going out to welcome you. Please forgive me, Prince Tsinghui. Tsinghui glanced at him and went straight to the point. I'm protecting Wu Yuyao. I'll be staying in 100 Desolation City for a while. If that young Master Dragon Spring has any objections, he can look for me directly. If he dares to make a move in the dark, don't blame my sword for being merciless. Yes. I'll definitely pass on your words. Tong Fei hurriedly bowed in response. At the same time, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Wasn't there a deep hatred between Tsinghui and Wu Hunyuan? Why would he step forward to protect Wu Yuyao, even at the expense of offending young Master Dragon Spring? Let's go back. After giving his instructions, Tsinghui directly settled down in an inn in 100 Desolation City. At present, he could only wait passively, hoping that Zhou Buwei would come to him for the sake of Wu Hunyuan, after learning that Wu Yuya was safe and sound. After doing all this, Xing Hui waited in the inn for 2 days, fully focused on polishing the spiritual imprint of Vagabond Goldenlight on the Grade 4 flying sword. When the time came for his meeting with Xian Long, he left a part of his mind on guard, while the other part operated the Primal Chaos secret method, and went straight to the Primal Chaos Temple. Young Master. Not long after entering the Primal Chaos Temple, Xian Long, who had been waiting for some time, came to welcome him. All right, take me to the Sons of Primal Chaos organization you mentioned. Please follow me, young master. Xian Long respectfully led the way. Xing Hui glanced at Xian Long. How's Dragonchant Island's influence in the Lorraine Kingdom? Our Dragonchant Island's main force, is in the sea south of the Lorraine Kingdom. We have quite a bit of influence in the coastal areas, but in the interior of the Lorraine Kingdom, we can't be compared to the other forces. Send a message to Dragonchant Island to find a person for me. He is Zhou Buwei, a member of the 1st Demon Hunter team of the Demon Hunters Union. The members of the 1st Demon Hunter team of the Demon Hunters Guild are all Wu Hunyuan's trusted subordinates. Now that the Lorraine branch of the Demon Hunters Guild has a new power structure, the old subordinates of Wu Hunyuan will probably be suppressed. If Zhou Buwei wants to hide, it won't be easy to find him. Do your best. Xing Hui was just asking. He didn't have much hope for Xian Long. Yes. Xian Long agreed. After a moment, he carefully suggested, if young master really wants to find Zhou Buwei, I'm afraid you'll have to start with Wu Hunyuan. If one of Wu Hunyuan's trusted aides becomes the president of the Demon Hunters Union with young master's secret support, Zhou Buwei will definitely come to join you. I secretly supported someone to become the president of the Demon Hunters Union of the Lorraine Kingdom? Is it feasible? Of course it's feasible. Xian Long said. Behind young master is Nailin Fei, who has already broken through to the Qi cultivation aura realm. Miss Nailin Fei has entered the 3rd level of the longevity realm at such a young age. It can be said that her future is limitless. In the future, there's a great chance that she will become the disciple of a peak master and oversee a peak. Even the elders of the sect wouldn't easily offend such a person. As long as young master shows a little goodwill to the Demon Hunters Union, the Demon Hunters Union definitely won't mind using this opportunity to step down and use young master as a springboard to climb up to Miss Nailin Fei. Influence. Xing Hui frowned. To do this, he would need to borrow Nailin Fei's influence to succeed, and he would also need to give in to the Demon Hunters Union, who wanted to take his life with a bounty on the divine weapon. It was not in line with Xing Hui's ideals. What's the real strength of the Demon Hunters Union? I want to know the detailed information of the Demon Hunters Union. My knowledge of this information is limited, but according to my judgment, the president of the Demon Hunters Union is only a genuine Qi realm expert at the 2nd level of the longevity realm. In addition, he should have several genuine Qi realm experts as his left and right arms. If young master really wants to know the detailed information of the Demon Hunters Union, and even the information of the person behind him, there must be someone in the organization that I'm about to recommend young master to know. Or, is there any information in the Eastern Wilderness that they don't know? Xing Hui's heart skipped a beat as if he had thought of something. The Tianji Pavilion? Yes, there is a disciple of the Tianji Pavilion in our Sons of Chaos organization. Xian Long said. Introduce him to me. The Tianji Pavilion was one of the most mysterious forces in the Eastern Wilderness. It was not in the 10 Holy Lands, but none of the 10 Holy Lands dared to underestimate it. It was a mysterious force that made a living by selling information. As long as there were enough benefits, there was no information in the Eastern Wilderness that they couldn't find out. Moreover, it was rumored that the Tianji Pavilion seemed to be vaguely related to the Divine Secrets Pavilion, a top force in the distant Infinite Wilderness. This was also the reason why the 10 Holy Lands dared not openly attack the Tianji Pavilion, even though they knew that the Tianji Pavilion was secretly spying on them. Under Xian Long's lead, the two quickly arrived at a side hall, where a middle-aged man was already waiting. Jin Long, The middle-aged man nodded to Exine Long, and then turned to Tsing Hui. Hello. I'm one of the people in charge of the external affairs of Dawn. My code name is Blazing Glory. You'll find that joining Dawn is the right choice. Tsing Hui was somewhat surprised. He had originally thought that there would be a series of tests. The man who called himself Blazing Glory seemed to see through Tsing Hui's doubts. He smiled bitterly and said, Those higher-level organizations naturally have to be careful when they invite newcomers. However, Dawn is only a small organization, and there aren't that many Sons of Chaos who are willing to take the initiative to join. Having one more newcomer is beneficial to us, so the difficulty of the tests is naturally very low. As long as there is a recommendation from a senior member, any Son of Chaos can join Dawn. Of course, before you've completely gained the trust of our deacons and leaders, we won't meet with you outside of the Chaos Temple. Tsing Hui nodded understandingly. Alright, we generally don't use our real names when doing things in Dawn. Choose a code name yourself. I'm Pak Hui. Alright, remember my hand seal. As Blazing Glory spoke, he used a hand seal. As Tsing Hui repeated the hand seal, the space around him changed. Before long, he appeared in a space that was divided into layers. A personal space. However, unlike his personal space in Qingsu, which was completely white and filled with only a few miscellaneous items, not only were there all sorts of barriers separating the space in this personal space, there were even a few rooms of different sizes. A level 1 personal space was 10 meters in length, width, and height. This space used this as a foundation to open up 3 levels, which were the living room, conference room, and some small rooms for private transactions. The materials used to divide the rooms were excellent for silencing. Even if they spoke in private, other than the owner of the personal space, there was no need to worry about their secrets being exposed. In the same personal space, this Son of Chaos had decorated it with color, but Tsing Hui basically did not pay much attention to it. Instantly, he felt a little ashamed. His chaos level had come too easily, so much so that he had not carefully studied how to maximize the effects of the abilities given by the chaos level. Advancement skills, divine arts, personal space, sword Dao talent, comprehension, recovery, and other characteristics. He had to study them properly when he had time. Your Excellency Pak Hui, welcome. As Tsing Hui stepped into the living room of this personal space, a well-dressed woman, who looked to be in her late 20s, greeted him with a smile. This is the Lord of Dawn, Lord Lingyu, a level 9 Son of Chaos. Hello. Tsing Hui nodded to the woman, Lingyu. These are the rules that you have to follow to join Dawn. Please take a look. As Lingyu spoke, she handed a book to Tsing Hui. Qingsu flipped through the books. During that time, quite a few Sons of Chaos, who just happened to be in the Chaos Divine Hall, gathered over. They smiled. A newcomer? How's your chaos level? Our rule is that we don't force people to report their chaos level. It's all voluntary. I'm just asking. Speaking of which, when will Lord Lingyu reach level 10? There have been many people around that area recently. I don't know how long that cave can be hidden. Soon. My Taoist rhyme has reached 94 points. I'm only 6 points away. I'll think of a way as soon as I reach level 10, learn the divine arts, and defeat the trial puppet that's 1 level higher than me. Then, I'll be able to pass the final test. It's too difficult to kill enemies without the help of divine weapons. But I'm waiting for Lord Lingyu to give me a share of the treasures in that cave. I promised you 30%. I won't disappoint you. Haha, we've followed Lord Lingyu for more than 10 years. Of course, we believe in Lord Lingyu's reputation. Lingyu and the Son of Chaos chatted casually. After Tsing Hui finished reading the rules, Lingyu turned to Tsing Hui and asked, Your Excellency Pak Hui, what do you think? I'm willing to join Dawn. Good. Your Excellency Pak Hui, welcome. Chapter 55. When will Dawn organize a trade with the powerful beings of the infinite wasteland world? Tsing Hui directly stated his purpose of joining Dawn. Can I ask Prince Tsing Hui what kind of item he wants to trade with the powerful beings of the infinite wasteland world? Divine Codex. Lingyu nodded as if it was reasonable. The Divine Codex of the Eastern Wasteland world was monopolized by the 10 great sacred clans. Ordinary rogue cultivators who wanted to obtain the inheritance of the divine codex had to join the 10 great sacred clans and make great contributions, or find the cave abodes of the powerful beings. However, these two opportunities were hard to come by. Instead, it was best to accumulate enough Dao aura and trade with the powerful beings of the infinite wasteland world. It was said that the divine codex of the 10 great sacred clans was passed down from the infinite wasteland world. Although the divine codex is extremely valuable, it is most effective before the bloodline awakens. When the bloodline awakens, the most important thing for cultivators is no longer the divine codex itself, but the battle body formed by condensing the bloodline completely. For example, the Azure Dragon Sacred Body of the Azure Dragon series, the White Tiger Sacred Body of the White Tiger series, the Burning Sky Sacred Body of the Vermilion Bird series, the Xuanwu Sacred Body of the Xuanwu series, and so on. The moment the sacred body is fully formed, the phantom of the sacred beast can be activated and manifested. This is the end of the 6th stage of the eternal life, the prominent divine realm. Lingyu paused. Although the divine codex is impressive, it is limited to those below the awakening realm. It doesn't require too much Taoist rhyme. Coincidentally, 3 members of our organization also need to prepare a divine codex for their juniors and relatives. You can talk to them about the details of the cooperation later. If nothing goes wrong, the Dawn will invite Sword Master Bai Heng from the Heaven Wasteland world to trade with them in 2 months. Sword Master Bai Heng? Although Sword Master Bai Heng is one of the most reputable powerful beings of the infinite wasteland world, he has never been easy to talk to. It won't be difficult to get additional benefits from him. A member beside Lingyu was surprised. Being able to safely complete the trade is the limit. How can there be so many requests? Lingyu said. After the voting and discussion of the people in the dawn, the core of this transaction is the White Tiger Sacred Body of the White Tiger of the 4 sacred beasts. Cultivators who have awakened the bloodline of the Holy Beast White Tiger, the Spiritual Beast Red Tiger, the Tiger of Gengjin, the Snow Cloud Leopard, and the Red Gold Leopard can sign up 1 month before the start of the transaction. We will conduct the final statistics. Fortunately, during the transaction, we will determine which level of the White Tiger Sacred Body our Taoist connotation can be exchanged for. If Your Excellency Pak Hui wants to join the transaction, you have to sign up in advance and report the Taoist connotation you can provide. Xing Hui nodded. At the end of the 6th level of the Eternal Life realm, one's physique would be at the prominent divinity realm. Once the physique was completed, one's strength would increase by more than 10 times compared to the green darkness realm. However, the prominent divine stage, which was the 6th stage of the longevity stage, placed a huge burden on the cultivator. The battle body that they conjured could only last for a few breaths of time. Thus, this stage was also known as the illusionary divine stage. Only by stepping into the sage stage and condensing true elemental energy could one ensure that the sage body would last forever. After chatting with Xing Hui for a while, Lingyu expressed her welcome and left immediately. Before she left, Xing Hui considered that his chaotic stage was above Lingyu's. With a thought, he activated his identification skill silently. Lingyu, chaotic stage level 10. Attack, 49 defense, 49 speed, 48 spirit, 51. According to the numbers, she was a strong person who had reached the peak of the 4th stage of the longevity stage. However, his chaotic stage is obviously at level 10. Why did he tell the public that he was only at level 9? Xing Hui was surprised. Soon he understood something. A new ability would appear in every 5 stages of the chaotic stage. Between level 9 and level 10, there was a divine skill that could allow one to reverse the situation. He had told the public that his chaotic stage was level 9. If his identity was exposed one day, someone would target his chaotic stage and try to capture him alive and sell him. His level 1 divine skill might become the key to turning the tide of the battle. He could not reveal all of his information at any time. Looking at Lingyu who was leaving, Xing Hui taught her a lesson. Soon, Xing Hui found the other 3 traders. They called themselves Feng Hui, Bai Hai, and Yinkong. Bai Hai was a female. Although she looked ordinary, She had an extraordinary aura. Your Excellency Pak Hui, how many Taoist rhymes do you have? Feng Hui could not wait to ask. My Taoist rhymes are limited. I only have 2 points. Feng Hui, Bai Hai, and Yun were slightly disappointed. If that's the case, unless someone else is willing to make a bid within a month, we can only exchange for an ordinary holy grimoire. Next, the 3 of us will discuss who will be the inheritor of the holy grimoire. There can only be one inheritor? Can't we ask Swordmaster Bai Hung to pass on the holy grimoire to each of us once? Swordmaster Bai Hung is not easy to talk to. For 5 Taoist rhymes, he'll pass on the same ordinary holy grimoire to each of us once? What a joke! Imparting the holy grimoire in our sea of consciousness will consume a lot of mental energy. Then we can only change the way we speak. Whoever is willing to pay 2 Taoist rhymes will be the inheritor of the holy grimoire. The other 3 will be imparted orally by the inheritor. Yun said. One was imparted directly by Swordmaster Bai Heng's consciousness, while the other was imparted orally. The effects were naturally incomparable. Furthermore, they had to be careful of the other party cutting corners. My Taoist rhymes are limited. I choose to listen orally. Bai Hai said helplessly. I also choose to listen orally. I just want to prepare a holy grimoire for that brat at home. Spending 1 Taoist rhyme is my limit. Not long ago, I used my remaining Taoist rhymes to exchange for a 4th-tier low-grade defensive armor with Xingyao. Now I only have 1 Taoist rhyme left. Feng Hui said. 4th-tier low-grade defensive armor? What a loss! Bai Hai and Yun shook their heads at the same time. There's no other way. Taoist rhymes can be exchanged for 5th tier, or even 6th tier divine armors in Infinite Wasteland. However, we don't have the ability to go there. Our incarnation technique can't bring divine armors, and it's not easy to meet a mysterious merchant who crosses the sea from Infinite Wasteland. If a merchant who doesn't know his background rashly rushes over, he might be captured alive and take away the chaos inheritance. For safety, I can only exchange for a 4th-tier armor. Then there's no other way. Miss Pak Hui, are you willing to pay 2 Taoist rhymes to become the inheritor of the holy grimoire? If not, we can only recruit another person to join us. At that time, we'll each take out techniques, divine armors, and elixirs to compete for the inheritor's identity. I'm willing to pay 2 Taoist rhymes to become the inheritor. Xing Hui said. Swordmaster Bai Hung was a famous great divine ability expert in Infinite Wasteland. When he imparted the holy grimoire to himself, he would more or less bring in some of his own understanding of the holy grimoire. This kind of understanding was hard to come by. That's good. It's settled then. We'll wait for a month to confirm the goods and arrange the location. Xing Hui nodded. In truth, the location of the transaction was the most dangerous. The moment someone leaked the information, the entire Sons of Chaos organization would be wiped out. It could be said that apart from those mighty existences who truly stood at the peak, any Son of Chaos who recklessly exposed themselves would be risking their lives. After discussing with Bai Hai and the others, Xing Hui agreed on a time to meet with Xian Long, and then left Ling Yu's personal space. After returning to his own personal space from Ling Yu's personal space, Xing Hui couldn't help but chuckle. He truly had no idea that he was sitting on a mountain of treasures. His personal space, which was 10 meters long and wide, could be used to set up weapons of war. For example, the Lorraine Kingdom's famous Origin Spirit Cannon could kill anyone below the stellar energy realm. It was an excellent weapon for destroying cities. As long as he completed the adjustments in his personal space, he could take out the Origin Spirit Cannon at a critical moment and fire it. It seemed that he had to think of a way to make use of his personal space as much as possible. With this thought in mind, Xing Hui focused on the Tier 4 flying sword. The transactions of the Sons of Chaos had always been dangerous. If something unexpected happened, he would have to refine this Tier 4 flying sword to have a chance of protecting himself. Chapter 56. Flying Sword. At the periphery of the Yunhuang mountain range, Xing Hui pinched his fingers into a sword gesture. Beside him, the 4th-level flying sword revolved rapidly around his body. Along with the vibration of his sword essence, The flying sword that was slowly flying around his body burst out. In an instant, it crossed the distance of 300 meters between him and the tree in front of him, cutting the tree in half. After cutting the tree, the brilliant sword essence in Xing Hui's spiritual world rose. The flying sword emitted a blazing light, and then it pierced through a rock 400 meters away. Almost at the same time, Xing Hui let out a muffled groan, and the flying sword that burst out fell to the ground. To control the flying sword, one needs to combine genuine qi and sword essence. It also refers to the combination of genuine qi and genuine qi at the 4th level of the longevity realm. My sword essence is not weaker than a qi gang cultivator at the 3rd level of the longevity realm. However, the genuine qi in my body has yet to be formed. Controlling the flying sword for 300 meters is already the limit. After 300 meters, the opponent only needs to make an easy hit to disrupt and shatter the resonance between the flying sword and my sword essence. Xing Hui stepped forward. When he was 100 meters away from the flying sword that fell to the ground slowly vibrated again. It flew up and quickly returned, hovering in front of Xing Hui. Whoosh! Xing Hui leaped and stepped on the flying sword. After slightly controlling his balance, he had already broken through the air, rolling up the sword qi, and went straight into the sky. Fast, fast, fast. As Xing Hui's body and the flying sword continued to resonate and integrate, the speed of his flying sword also continued to increase. 100 kilometers per hour, 150 kilometers per hour, 200 kilometers per hour, 250 kilometers per hour, 300 kilometers per hour. When the speed reached 300 kilometers per hour, Xing Hui already felt that the integration between his body and the flying sword had become extremely unstable. The strong wind blew and almost lifted him off the flying sword. He had no choice but to descend to 250 kilometers per hour. Even so, the problem of the integration between the two still required him to use all his energy to maintain the flying sword. He had no time to care about other things. His body stood on the sword and seemed to be on the verge of collapse. It was not until the speed dropped below 200 kilometers per hour that he stabilized his body and resisted the wind. As for the easy flying sword, the speed was only 150 kilometers per hour. A 4th-order upper-grade flying sword. With sword intent as the guide, the power of the attack it shoots out is equivalent to 23rd to 24th order, which is similar to the sword qi I shoot out with the green firmament sword. Its advantage is that its attack range is up to 100 meters, and it can catch the enemy off guard. Its flying speed is 300 kilometers per hour, and its normal speed is 150 kilometers per hour. In one morning, Xing Hui had already memorized the various changes of this flying sword. 3rd level upper grade divine weapon, sword qi sword named Qing Xiao. You can enter and exit Qing Ming, traverse the sea of clouds named Qing Xian. Xing Hui put away the sword and returned to 100 Desolation City. However, just as Xing Hui left the outskirts of the desolate Cloud Mountain range, and was less than 5 kilometers away from the 100 Desolation City, his figure slightly paused. In the next moment, the treasured sword in his hand was suddenly unsheathed. Swish! Sword qi rampaged. Oh no, we've been discovered. No need to hide anymore. Kill! At the same time Xing Hui drew his sword, 3 masked silhouettes simultaneously shouted and flew out from the forest. For a moment, Zhen Qi shot out in all directions and dense sword shadows appeared. Bam! Gold and iron collided and sparks burst out. Xing Hui's unsheathed sword suddenly exploded the moment it collided with the masked man's sword. The Zhen Qi that escaped immediately twisted the grass on the ground into powder. Zhen Qi realm. In an instant, Xing Hui had already determined the cultivation level of the attacker. Die! When the Zhen Qi realm attacker blocked the sword qi from Qing Xiao, the remaining 2 shouted at the same time. Dense sword light strangled and twisted, as fast as flowing light. The sharpness of each sword made people's hair stand on end. It was enough to instantly twist several strong warriors in the blood-changing realm into powder. Peak of the Awakening Realm, 1 Jinqi Realm, and 2 Peak of the Awakening Realm. In particular, the weapon in the hands of that true Qi Realm expert was shockingly a level 2 divine weapon. Furthermore, the divine weapon's grade was at least of level 2 middle grade. Die! The two peak of the Awakening Realm warriors roared. Their sword chi was like frost, and the tip of their swords was unbelievably fast. Even though Xing Hui clearly understood the trajectory of the two swords and tried his best to dodge, the limitation of his cultivation level made it impossible for him to outrun the opponent's sword light. One of the swords cut his shoulder, and blood spurted out. Buzz! Buzz! After being hit, Xing Hui's sword shook violently. Taking advantage of the sword chi shooting out from Qing Xiao, he suddenly jumped into the air and retreated, trying to escape the encirclement formed by the three people. He's just relying on the advantage of a divine weapon. I just need to restrain the edge of his divine weapon. He's just a blood-changing realm cultivator who hasn't awakened yet. I can't let him escape the encirclement and unleash the power of his divine weapon. In a spurt of energy, kill! The leader of the Zhenqi realm warriors roared and rushed forward, not giving Xing Hui a chance to escape the encirclement. The other two peak of the Awakening Realm warriors followed closely behind. Their sword chi flashed, and with the speed of their swords, they completely blocked Xing Hui's path of retreat. After all, the Qing Xiao sword only increased Xing Hui's attack power. Besides attacking, a cultivator also had defense, speed, and even spirit. Not to mention defense, the speed of their swords and movements were all above Xing Hui's. If it weren't for the sword chi shooting out from Qing Xiao's sword that made them wary, Xing Hui would have died under the attacks of the three Immortality Realm warriors. Seeing that the three of them were about to form an encirclement again, Xing Hui knew that once the three of them attacked together again, even if he had the advantage of Qing Xiao's sword, he would still die in the end. True Qi Realm. Only by killing this true energy realm expert and freeing the edge of the green firmament sword from the shackles of this true energy realm expert could he truly reverse the situation. With this thought, Xing Hui's eyes shone with a divine light. The essence, chi, and spirit of his body condensed at the same time, turning into a brilliant sword will. It was like a scorching sun, shining in all directions. Whoosh! In the next moment, the tip of the Qingxian sword tore through the air with a sharp whistling sound. Before the leader of the group of true Qi realm experts could react, it shot out explosively. What is this? Not good. The leader of the realm of true Qi let out a startled roar and tried his best to dodge the explosive sword. However, the distance between the two was too short. The Qingxian sword was also activated by the sword will and was as fast as flowing light. The moment it shot out, it directly pierced through the forehead of the realm of true Qi. Its speed and sharpness directly shattered the head of the realm of true Qi in one fell swoop. Supreme Elder! How could this be? Seeing the true Qi realm warrior suddenly shot to death, the two Awakening Realm warriors who surrounded Xing Hui could not help but exclaim at the same time. However, Xing Hui's sword was not slow. After the Qing Xian sword burst out with the boiling sword will, it suddenly turned and pierced through the head of the other Awakening Realm warrior. He did not give him any time to breathe and killed him on the spot. At the same time, the Qing Xiao sword in his hand was like a dragon swimming in the sea or a tiger in the forest. Dense sword chi shot out. Even though the Awakening Realm warrior, who bore the brunt of the attack, tried his best to dodge, he was still instantly pierced by 3 sword chi, leaving 3 bloody holes in his body. Flying sword! Flying sword! It's a flying sword! The Awakening Realm warrior, who was pierced by the 3 sword chi, let out a shrill cry. His eyes were filled with fear. Xing Hui moved forward with his sword. The sword chi on the Qing Xiao sword soared into the sky and directly cut off one of the Awakening Realm warrior's arms and legs. The intense pain caused him to let out another shrill scream. After crippling the Awakening Realm warrior, Xing Hui pointed at his shoulder to stop the bleeding. Then, he went directly in front of the Awakening Realm warrior and used his sword to remove the man's mask. Huh! Seeing the man under the mask, Xing Hui seemed to have thought of something. Wan Jianxian. At this moment, the one who appeared in front of Xing Hui was the eldest disciple of the 10,000 Swords Peak, the future leader of the sect, Wan Jianxian. He lay on the ground screaming in pain. Looking at the flying sword floating beside Xing Hui, His eyes were filled with despair. Flying sword. You actually have a flying sword. The lowest grade of a flying sword is level 4. Even if its lethality is inferior to a divine weapon of the same level, its value is comparable to a level 5 divine weapon. You actually, Luo Tianning is already a cripple. He doesn't have the ability to go against me anymore. So, this is your 10,000 swords peak stubbornness to come for the Qing Shao sword in my hand. Xing Hui looked at Wang Jianxian with a cold expression. If he hadn't stealthily entered the outskirts of the Yunhuang mountain range to refine the flying sword, he probably would have been stopped by the 10,000 swords peak a few days ago. At that time, before he could refine the flying sword, he would have been surrounded by a true energy realm expert, with a level 2 divine weapon, and 2 peak awakening realm experts. It was very likely that he would have died on the spot. Xing Hui, don't kill me. I am the eldest disciple of the 10,000 swords peak, the future leader of the 10,000 swords peak. Now that our leader and grand elder are dead, I am the only successor of the 10,000 swords peak. As long as you don't kill me, I can lead the entire 10,000 swords peak to pledge allegiance to you and serve you. 10,000 swords peak. Xing Hui couldn't help but think of borrowing the power of the 10,000 swords peak to search for Zhou Bui. The 10,000 swords peak was a huge force within the Lorraine kingdom, second only to the Lorraine kingdom's royal family. This method could work, but without you, I believe that I can still control the 10,000 swords peak. When you planned to attack me, you should have thought of the price you had to pay. After saying this, Xing Hui once again unsheathed the Qing Shao sword. Don't, Qi. There was a flash of blood, and this genius of the 10,000 swords peak was directly beheaded. The 10,000 swords peak. Xing Hui looked in the direction of the 100 Desolation City, then turned around and headed straight for the 10,000 swords peak. Chapter 57. The 10,000 Swords Mountain was close to the Cloud Wilderness mountain range. The entire Lorraine Kingdom. No, it was more accurate to say that the Eastern Cloud Empire, and the other countries that could threaten the rule of the local royal family, were all established close to the Cloud Wilderness mountain range, or the sea. The advantage of this was that if they offended the Lorraine royal family, the Eastern Cloud royal family, or other top forces, they could quickly escape into the mountains or the sea, making it impossible for the royal family to reach them. It was the same for the 10,000 Swords Mountain. The 10,000 Swords Mountain was originally established in the Cloud Wilderness mountain range, but as their strength continued to grow, and 300 years ago, they produced a few immortal stage 3 Qi refinement cultivators. Their ambitions gradually grew out of control, and later, a war broke out between them and the Lorraine royal family for control of the Lorraine kingdom. But at that time, the Lorraine royal family had not yet declined, and they were friends with many of the Hunyuan heaven sect's deacons and disciples. They summoned a few top Qi refinement cultivators and defeated the 10,000 Swords Mountain, forcing them to retreat into their ancestral land. A few decades ago, it seemed that they could no longer survive in the Cloud Wilderness mountain range, so they made use of the marriage of the sect master's daughter to the Lorraine royal family to negotiate peace. But even so, their glory was gone forever. Xing Hui traveled for 3 days and arrived at the 10,000 Swords mountain range's outskirts. Relying on the accumulation of the past and the dozen or so awakening cultivators in the sect, the 10,000 Swords mountain had developed to a considerable scale. The mountain gate was tall and grand, and there was a bluestone mountain path that led to the top of the mountain. Many students spontaneously gathered at the foot of the mountain path, and after a few decades, it had evolved into a large town with a population of over 100,000 people. Xing Hui stepped onto the 10,000 Swords mountain. He did not waste any time talking nonsense with the 10,000 Swords mountain disciples. He directly jumped up the mountain under the shocked gazes of the many students. Who dares to trespass on our 10,000 Swords mountain? The guarding disciples on the mountain path shouted, and stepped forward with their swords in an attempt to stop him. But Xing Hui had come to destroy the 10,000 Swords mountain, so how could he show mercy? The azure firmament sword trembled, and sword qi shot out. 2 10,000 Swords mountain disciples who tried to stop him had their heads pierced by the sword qi, and they died on the spot. When the remaining disciples of the myriad swords peak saw this, they were all horrified. Sword qi! Sword qi! Sword qi! This is a true qi stage expert who has achieved the true qi stage from the void refinement realm. Ah! A great enemy was coming. Quickly inform the sect leader. For a moment, the entire entrance of the 10,000 Swords Mountain fell into a panic. All the disciples retreated when they saw Qing Su charge up. Even the cultivators who had originally come to visit the 10,000 Swords Mountain in an attempt to join them were astounded. They looked at Qing Su, who charged up with his sword like he was a god. Xing Hui leapt up, not wasting any time on the ordinary disciples. Not long after, he had already charged into the main hall of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. At that moment, the panicked cries at the foot of the mountain attracted the attention of the 10,000 Swords Peak's elders. Two awakening realm powerhouses quickly moved to the front of the main hall. However, when the two men saw Xing Hui's appearance, their expressions changed drastically. Chou Xinghui. It was Chou Xinghui. How could he be here? Didn't the sect leader, grand elder, and young sect leader team up to kill him? How could he? Oh no, he's coming for us. Retreat! The two awakening realm powerhouses had heard of Xing Hui's impressive battle achievements. When they saw Xing Hui charging towards them, they quickly fled. Although the 10,000 Swords Mountain was stronger than the third prince, they only had one true energy realm powerhouse at the void refinement realm, and a dozen or so awakening realm powerhouses. With the Azure Firmament Sword, ordinary awakening realm powerhouses were no match for Xing Hui. Following the death of the three strongest powerhouses of the 10,000 Swords Mountain, the remaining dozen or so awakening realm powerhouses did not have the courage to fight against Xing Hui. They were so frightened that their souls almost left their bodies, and they fled in all directions. Xing Hui had come to exterminate the 10,000 Swords Mountain. Seeing the awakening realm powerhouses turn and flee without hesitation, how could he let them do as they wished? As he gathered his essence, energy and spirit, a brilliant sword intent suddenly bloomed in his mind. The next moment, the Azure Profound sword light whistled and shot out. The two awakening realm powerhouses, who had only fled a few dozen meters, were killed by the sword light. They died on the spot. After killing the two awakened experts, Qing Su shot out once again. Under the stimulation of the sword intent, the Qingxian sword constantly whistled and shot out around him. Any disciple of the myriad Swords Mountain who saw him use the Qingxian sword were all killed, causing the area within 100 meters of him to become a domain of death. From the awakened realm to the blood purification realm, organs refinement realm, and marrow cleansing realm, no one could withstand the might of a single strike from him. Their heads were all pierced, dying on the spot. After a long while, after killing 12 awakening realm powerhouses and hundreds of elite 10,000 Swords Mountain disciples in the marrow cleansing, viscera refining, and blood changing realms, Xing Hui felt his essence, energy, and spirit weaken. He stopped circulating the sword intent and put away the Azure Profound sword. Then, he continued to stride forward, heading toward the core building of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. When he arrived at the sect master's courtyard, he saw a middle-aged man in his 30s with an awakening realm cultivation. He was snatching some precious items and was about to rush out the door. When he saw Xing Hui, who happened to be walking up the stairs, his eyes were filled with disbelief. "How can you be so fast, Clang?" The Azure Profound sword in Xing Hui's hand trembled, and he was about to charge forward. However, the awakening realm powerhouse threw away the precious items in his hands in an extremely cowardly manner. He actually knelt in front of Xing Hui and shouted, "Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Prince Xing Hui, I am willing to submit to you. As long as Prince Xing Hui is willing to let me go, I am willing to lead Prince Xing Hui to the 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral land and offer you all the treasures we have accumulated over the centuries." All the treasures we have accumulated over the centuries. Xing Hui thought of Wu Yuyao. He had found a Dao vessel on Wu Yuyao's body. From this, it could be seen that Dao vessels did not appear in a regular pattern. At least until now, no one knew why Dao vessels would appear. Since that was the case, He could not be sure whether or not Dao vessels existed in the 10,000 Swords Mountains ancestral land. If he could find some Dao vessels in the 10,000 Swords Mountains ancestral land, he would have a chance of choosing a high-tier divine scripture when he traded with Sword Master Bai Heng. That way, his chances of awakening a divine beast bloodline would greatly increase. Prince Tsinghui, when the sect master convened the Elders' Council a few days ago, I did my best to oppose them attacking you. The 10,000 Swords Mountain is no longer as glorious as it used to be. How could we offend Prince Tsinghui and Miss Nalan? Fortunately, Prince Tsinghui is safe and sound. Otherwise, when Miss Nalan returns, even if our 10,000 Swords Mountain obtains Prince Tsinghui's Stage 3 divine weapon, what awaits our 10,000 Swords Mountain will be destruction. Take me to the 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral land. Yes. The sect master, Grand Elder, and 10,000 Swords Mountain did not know what was good for them, and dared to offend Prince Tsinghui. However, we definitely did not have the slightest intention of offending Prince Tsinghui. Now that we have made a grave mistake, the only thing we can do is try our best to compensate and appease Prince Tsinghui's anger. What are you holding in your hand? Tsinghui did not wait for him to reply. He stepped forward and swept his gaze over the books. Among the swordsmanship, secret techniques, and cultivation methods, he even saw a supreme true technique. This is our 10,000 Swords Mountain's ultimate technique, the 10,000 Swords Vajra art. This lowly one, Zhou Gi, is willing to offer this supreme true technique to Prince Tsinghui. Tsinghui did not accept this supreme true technique. Where is the treasury of the 10,000 Swords Mountain? The more valuable treasures of the 10,000 Swords Mountain are all sent to the ancestral land for safekeeping. The ones left outside the mountain gate are all ordinary items. Lead the way. Yes, please follow me, Prince Tsinghui. The ancestral land of the 10,000 Swords Mountain is in the Hunyuan mountain range. It's 400 kilometers away from here. The middle-aged man cautiously complied and led the way, as silent as a cicada in winter. At this time, the remaining awakening realm powerhouses of the 10,000 Swords Mountain had either fled or been killed by Tsinghui. Even if these awakening realm powerhouses of the 10,000 Swords Mountain could be reunited in the end, the organization would not be as glorious as it was before. It could be said that in less than half an hour, the 10,000 Swords Mountain, a top organization of the Lorraine Kingdom, had been single-handedly destroyed by him. The 10,000 Swords Mountain was different from the Demon Hunters Guild branch, which only had one awakening realm powerhouse overseeing it. It was a colossus that had immortal stage and true energy stage powerhouses overseeing it. During its most glorious period, it had even produced powerhouses who had refined their chi into energy. It had a history of several hundred years. If news of the destruction of such an organization that was second only to the Lorraine Kingdom's royal family spread, it would definitely cause an unprecedented uproar in the Lorraine Kingdom. The entire Lorraine Kingdom would be stirred up by Tsinghui's name. Chapter 58. 400 kilometers was not very far. But it was not an easy journey, if one considered the fact that it was mainly mountainous. Perhaps they could travel on their swords in green ruins, so they would only need around 2 hours to reach their destination. But Zhou Gi was only an awakening cultivator. Affected by his speed, it was already the afternoon of the next day, when the two of them actually arrived at the ancestral grounds of the Myriad Swords Mountain. The ancestral grounds of the Myriad Swords Mountain were below a mountain. It was not strange for various mountain peaks to appear in the desolate Cloud Mountain range, but the mountain peak in front of him had suddenly appeared in the middle of a forest. Even though it looked like it was only 500 to 600 meters tall, and the area it occupied could not be considered wide, it appeared extremely awkward, as though there was a mysterious force pulling the mountain peak out of the ground, and it stood in the middle of the forest. Up ahead is the ancestral grounds of our Myriad Swords Mountain. Zhou Gi said carefully to the strange mountain as he led the way. Tsinghui stared at the mountain for a while. He could vaguely sense that there was something strange about the mountain. It seemed like a sword blade? Zhou Gi seemed to be able to guess Tsinghui's doubts. He hurriedly explained, "This mountain looks like a sword blade." The name of our Myriad Swords Mountain comes from this sword-shaped mountain. This is the birthplace of our Myriad Swords Mountain. It's said that the founding ancestor of our Myriad Swords Mountain meditated under this mountain for 10 days and nights. He suddenly comprehended sword intent and cultivated sword aura, reaching the 3rd level of eternal life. From then on, he founded the Myriad Swords Mountain and began our glorious legacy. But now, the Myriad Swords Mountain is no longer as prosperous as it was in the past. Zhou Gi's face became gloomy when he reached there. Xinghui did not reply. He continued forward slowly. In reality, he could already see many traces of human activity along the way. There were also many buildings like pavilions that had been abandoned for a long time. However, as the Myriad Swords Mountain had shifted its focus to the outskirts of the desolate Cloud Mountain range, the ancestral grounds lacked effective maintenance, which was why the pavilions gradually became abandoned. If I've guessed correctly, there must be many experts in the ancestral grounds of the Myriad Swords Mountain. Don't tell me the person waiting for me is a refined and an Ata realm expert. Xinghui said as he looked at the faintly discernible buildings in front of him. These words immediately made Zhou Gi's heart tighten. He hurriedly explained, No, our 10,000 Swords Mountain only has one true energy realm existence, and that is the Supreme Elder. If we really had several true energy realm experts, we wouldn't have taken the initiative to show weakness to the Lorraine royal family, and even let the sect leader's daughter marry into the royal family to seek peace. Although there are elders in the ancestral land, there are 2 seniors at the peak of immortality realm. One of them is here in seclusion to break through to the true energy realm, and the other is in charge of guarding the ancestral land. Xinghui did not say anything else. Even if he were to encounter a true Qi practitioner, he would not necessarily be afraid. When both the Green Firmament Sword and the Green Profound Sword were unleashed, the number of true Qi realm experts who could block them could be counted on one hand. The ancestral land of the 10,000 Swords Mountain was often used as a last resort. When the 10,000 Swords Mountain was forced into a corner, the ancestral land naturally ushered in a period of prosperity. However, cultivators were also ordinary people. How many of them could really live in seclusion in the mountains and forests? As the 10,000 Swords Mountain re-established its mountain gate on the outskirts of the Hunyuan mountain range, 99% of the disciples of the 10,000 Swords Mountain had left the ancestral land. Currently, there were less than 20 people living in the ancestral land. As Zhou Gi said, there were only 2 powerhouses at the peak of the awakening realm guarding the ancestral land. It was precisely because there were so few people that many buildings were gradually abandoned deep in the mountains, because no one lived in them. Elder Zhou, why are you here? Before the 2 of them stepped into the ancestral land, the 2 disciples in charge of patrolling had already greeted them. Go and invite Elder Yun Feng and Elder Yin Liao here. Tell them that Prince Xinghui has come to visit. Zhou Gi wiped the non-existent sweat on his forehead and hurriedly said, Yes. The 2 disciples did not know what was going on, but they still responded. One of them led the way in front, while the other returned to the sparsely populated buildings in front of them. There's no need. I've already sensed the location of the 2 elders, Xinghui said. Then, he suddenly moved and went straight to the core buildings of the ancestral land of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. If there were really powerhouses at the true Qi realm in the 10,000 Swords Mountain, he would naturally take the initiative and kill them before they could react with the advantage of the Green Cloud Sword and Qingxian Sword. He would not let these people know in advance that the experts of the ancestral land of the 10,000 Swords Mountain would ambush him. Prince Xinghui, please wait for me, Zhou Gi said and hurriedly followed him. Fortunately, there were no powerhouses at the true Qi realm in the ancestral land of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. Although Xinghui had attracted the attention of the 2 guardian elders of the ancestral land, judging from the aura emitted by the 2 guardian elders, they were indeed in the immortality realm. It was only because they had been cultivating for a long time that their aura was quite thick and long. Who are you? Zhou Gi? Are you the one who brought him here? How can he be so rude and barge into the ancestral land? Soon the 2 elders, Yin Feng and Yun Liao, came forward and scolded Xinghui and Zhou Yi sternly. Zhou Yi hurriedly explained with a bitter smile. This is Prince Xinghui. Prince Xinghui. Yin Feng and Yin Liao were slightly shocked when they heard this name. Then their expressions changed drastically. Zhou Yi you. Zhou Yi met Elder Yin Liao's angry gaze and said in a deep voice, a wise man submits to circumstances. Elders, even the sect leader, great elder, and junior sect leader couldn't do anything to Prince Xinghui even when they worked together. Instead, they were killed by Prince Xinghui. If we resist, we will only die. Fortunately, Prince Xinghui is magnanimous and is willing to give us a way out. As long as we can offer the treasures our sect has collected over the years to Prince Xinghui, Prince Xinghui is willing to spare us. Therefore, please don't make a mistake. Yin Feng and Yin Liao looked sullen and angry, but more than that, they were unwilling to accept it. Are the great elder sect leader and junior sect leader really dead? The great elder's sword has fallen into Prince Xinghui's hands. How can it be fake? Zhou Yi said. Yin Feng and Yin Liao exchanged glances with each other, their faces bitter. In the end, the two could only step aside and salute Xinghui. Thank you, Prince Xinghui, for sparing our lives. Yi, take Prince Xinghui to the rare treasure cave. Yes. Zhou Yi answered respectfully after receiving the order. Then, he gestured to Xinghui with his hand. Prince Xinghui, please follow me. Xinghui glanced at Yin Feng and Yin Liao, then looked at Zhou Yi. He instinctively felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what the problem was. He immediately followed Zhou Yi without saying a word, heading towards the cave behind the buildings that seemed to have been dug through the mountain. As the group stepped into the cave, Xinghui immediately felt a faint sense of oppression coming from the cave. This sense of oppression didn't come from some top mighty figure in the cave, but from a kind of pressure on the spiritual level. No, not the spiritual, but the sword intent. The pressure on the sword intent level. There's a divine weapon that contains sword intent in the ancestral land of the 10,000 Swords Mountain? Xinghui's eyes lit up slightly. Before he had obtained the Tai sword, he could only generate sword intent when his fighting spirit was stimulated, and his energy, qi, and spirit rose to the extreme along with his fighting spirit. Later, with the help of the Tai sword, he was able to stabilize the state of sword intent and use it freely. Unfortunately, the sword intent in the Tai sword was limited. After he could use it freely, its effect was greatly reduced, and it could no longer bring much of a tempering effect to his sword intent. But now, he couldn't see the divine sword, but he could already feel the invisible pressure. Just how powerful was the sword intent contained in that divine sword? The core of the 10,000 Swords Mountain's ancestral land is in front of us. Many of our treasures are in there. Prince Xinghui, please. Zhou Yi gestured with his hand as he spoke. Xinghui couldn't wait to see the sword intent contained in the divine weapon inside the cave. He immediately leaped and went straight into the cave. However, just as Xinghui was distracted by the sword intent in the cave and relaxed his mind 100 meters into the cave, Zhou Yi suddenly retreated. He exerted his late-stage awakening realm speed to the extreme and rushed out of the cave as fast as he could. Ha! The sudden change made Xinghui keenly aware of the danger, and he quickly retreated. However, even though he had the green cloud sword in his hand, and his sword chi was comparable to that of a true chi realm expert, he couldn't compare to a late awakening realm expert in terms of speed, especially a late awakening realm expert who was proficient in movement techniques. In addition, Zhou Yi had the upper hand. In the blink of an eye, Zhou Yi had rushed dozens of meters away, almost out of the cave. Then, he hit a mechanism outside the cave with force, and the cave corridor rumbled. Pieces of dragon snapping stones quickly slid down and completely sealed the cave. Ha ha ha, Cho Xinghui. So what if you have a divine weapon? In the end, you still fall into my hands. The ancestral land is the last foundation of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. It has killed great enemies for us more than once. Today, you will also die here. Outside the broken dragon stones, Zhou Yi's laughter, as if he had succeeded in his scheme, was suddenly heard. You think a mere cave can stop me? You underestimate the power of a third-stage divine weapon. Sing Hui looked at the sealed escape route in front of him with a cold expression. He stabbed out with the green cloud sword, and the stone in front of him was torn open, as if it was tofu. A cave can't stop you. But as long as you can't dig through the mountain wall in a day, and get 1,000 meters away from this mountain peak, when the power in the cave erupts, you will die. The power in the cave? Sing Hui's heart skipped a beat. A cave or even an ordinary trap couldn't trap an immortal-level expert like him. But if there was some kind of mysterious power in the cave, Chode Sing Hui, wait for your death in the cave. After a day, we will raise the broken dragon stones. By then, the 3rd stage divine weapon and 4th stage flying sword in your hands will be mine. I, Chode Sing Hui, will use these 2 divine weapons to ascend to the throne of the 10,000 Swords Mountain's leader, and eventually overthrow the Lorraine royal family's rule and dominate the Lorraine kingdom. I have to thank you for all of this, ha ha ha. Chapter 59. Sing Hui looked at the mountain wall in front of him. With the green firmament sword's sharpness, it would not be difficult to dig through the mountain wall, but it would take at least 2 to 3 days. And according to Zhou Yi, there was a mysterious energy in the cave that would erupt every day. That was their true killing move. The reason the Myriad Swords Mountain had been able to survive until now despite having offended the Lorraine royal family was because of this mysterious energy in their ancestral land. It had helped them kill invaders time and time again, allowing them to survive. That mysterious force could even kill a Qi refinement cultivator who had formed gang. Sing Hui's expression turned grave. He had to get 1,000 meters away from the mountain before that mysterious energy erupted. Digging through the mountain wall was no longer practical. Sing Hui immediately turned around and walked into the cave. Even though Zhou Yi had lied to him, there was one thing he was right about. This cave was truly a treasure trove used by the Myriad Swords Mountain to store many precious treasures. As he stepped into the cave, many precious pills, ores, divine weapons, and armors appeared before his eyes. However, the Myriad Swords Mountain would definitely make full use of the truly top-tier natural treasures and convert them into strength. The rest were items that would not be used for the time being. For example, top-tier ores that had yet to be forged into divine weapons, top-tier spirit herbs that had yet to mature, and so on. There were many items here. Sing Hui scanned them one by one, and then moved them all into his personal dimension. He had been complaining that his personal dimension was too empty, so he decided to empty out the treasury of the Myriad Swords Mountain to make up for it. The only thing he regretted was that he did not find any items that could carry the Tao in these treasures. This was to be expected. If items that could carry the Tao could be obtained so easily, no one would be willing to trade rank 5, rank 6, or even rank 7 divine weapons and armors for them. Just what kind of danger is hidden in this cave? Qing Su circled around the cave, and his gaze landed on the center of the cave in the end. The center of the cave was quite empty, like a large basketball court, with a diameter of more than 30 meters. However, the center of the cave was not an empty space, but a stone pillar. At first glance, it was about 3 meters in diameter, as if it was supporting the entire cave. The only strange thing about this cave is this stone pillar. Sing Hui scanned the stone pillar for a moment. In the next moment, the green firmament sword was suddenly unsheathed. The sharp edge of the sword carried bursts of sword chi as it slashed at the stone pillar. Bang! When the green firmament sword and the stone pillar collided, it actually emitted the sound of metal clashing. Sing Hui felt the green firmament sword in his hand fiercely shake, and the rebounding force forced him to continuously retreat. However, the stone pillar in front of him actually only had a fingernail-sized stone fragment fall off. Before Sing Hui could figure out what kind of material this stone pillar was made of to be able to withstand the sharpness of a level 3 divine weapon, an astonishing pressure was rapidly brewing on the stone pillar that was under attack, directly affecting his mental state. Once this power was unleashed, it seemed like it would be able to completely crush his mental state. This is the sword intent that I felt earlier? Sing Hui's gaze suddenly fell on the stone pillar. The sword intent he had sensed outside the cave was far stronger than the Tai sword. It actually came from this stone pillar. Seeing that the power of the sword intent contained in the stone pillar was becoming more and more condensed, as if a great terror was about to descend from the sky and annihilate all living things with an unstoppable force, Sing Hui's pupils constricted, and the essence, energy, and spirit in his body suddenly erupted. In his mental world, a brilliant sword intent brazenly condensed, like the rising sun, shining brightly. Buzz buzz! Almost at the same time that Sing Hui raised his sword intent to resist with all his might, the sword intent that had been brewing in the stone pillar had already exploded. Majestic, vast, blazing, berserk. This sword intent was like an annihilating spiritual storm, sweeping in all directions, bringing with it the power to burn the heavens and boil the seas. Before Sing Hui could react, the rising sun in his mental world was like a volcano that had encountered doomsday, drowning in the surging magma. The brilliant sword light was instantly bombarded and shattered in all directions. Bang! The scorching sun exploded. In his mental world, the scorching sun completely erupted in the magma torrent, releasing endless sword lights that illuminated the four seas. The brilliant scorching sun seemed to be trying to evaporate the magma torrent and annihilate it into nothingness. However, even though the scorching sun erupted with endless brilliance under the life and death pressure of the magma torrent and burned the vast magma ocean into nothingness, the power of the magma torrent was too majestic and grand. The area that was reduced to nothingness only lasted for a moment before more destructive torrents surged in from all directions, filling the void that was burned and annihilated by the brilliant scorching sun. Once again, the void was completely filled and drowned the erupting scorching sun. Rumble! Sing Hui's mind was shaken. His essence, energy, and spirit almost completely dissipated the moment the brilliant scorching sun in his mental world was shattered and drowned by the monstrous magma tsunami. The violent blow not only made him sweat all over due to the severe damage to his essence, energy, and spirit, but also caused him to lose control of his body due to the loss of his spirit, causing him to bleed from his 7 orifices. If this continued, his sword intent would collapse. Sword intent was actually a combination of a cultivator's essence, energy, and spirit that had been condensed to the extreme. It could even be considered the source of life. If one's spirit collapsed, one might only end up in a vegetative state. In the future, one could still wake up if one obtained a treasure that could repair one's spirit. On the other hand, once one's sword intent collapsed, one's spirit, essence, energy, and blood would dissipate at the same time. Only death would await one. At the moment of life and death, Sing Hui's mind was blessed. His rank 2 sword path talent allowed him to purify his sword intent to the extreme. The brilliant scorching sun, which was originally trying to resist the magma torrent, instantly turned into a flame spirit that directly merged with the magma torrent. Even so, the torrential torrent swept over, causing the sea of flames formed by his sword intent to be like a lonely boat in the wind. It could be annihilated by the monstrous waves stirred up by the magma torrent at any time. Fortunately, the sword intent that erupted from the stone pillar only existed for a short period of time. As the sword intent's explosion ended, the magma torrent in his mental world slowly dissipated, and the weak candlelight that was about to be extinguished finally tenaciously held on. Phew! Sing Hui let out a long breath. An unprecedented weakness welled up in his heart. The extreme consumption of his blood essence, energy, and spirit made him want to lie on the ground motionlessly at this moment. Sharpening the sword intent was to forge a new sword. If using the Great One sword intent to sharpen his spirit was equivalent to using a whetstone to sharpen his sword intent, then the sword intent on the stone pillar at this moment was equivalent to using a giant hammer to refine his sword intent. No, it was not just a refine. It was as if his sword intent had been thrown into a scalding iron furnace to be remolded. If his sword intent could withstand the pain of being reforged, it would be molded more perfectly. If it could not naturally, it could only turn into molten iron and dissipate. Fortunately, he made it through. Sing Hui closed his eyes. If it were an ordinary person, the severe consumption of energy would be equivalent to a great loss of vitality, and it would take at least 3 to 5 days to recover. However, His rank 2 recovery characteristic once again displayed its amazing effect at this moment. He could even recover in a short period of time, after releasing his own body, let alone a simple loss of energy. In less than 4 hours, Xing Hui had recovered his vitality. Then he immediately swallowed the elixir to replenish his energy, and adjusted his energy, trying in vain to restore it to its peak. The impact of the sword intent just now had made him understand that the mysterious force that Zhou Yi mentioned that could kill him was this sword intent. This sword intent needed about 30 hours to brew to a peak, and then it would erupt involuntarily. Once it was attacked, the brewing sword intent would erupt ahead of time. Moreover, the sword intent that erupted due to an attack was more lethal than the sword intent that was accumulated once every 30 hours without an owner. If it were not for the fact that the characteristics of this sword intent were vaguely similar to Xing Hui's Eastern Sun sword intent, and if it were not for Xing Hui's rank 2 sword Dao talent that allowed him to immediately discern the characteristics of this sword intent and hide his own sword intent in the attack of this sword intent, so that the two could merge into one as much as possible, perhaps his sword intent would have collapsed just now. It should be known that apart from the fact that his sword intent was compatible with the sword intent that burst out from the stone pillar, and his rank 2 sword Dao talent, his mental strength had already reached rank 34, which was not inferior to a Qi refinement expert at all. Yet he was almost defeated by the first wave of sword intent. From this, it could be seen that if other Qi refinement experts had stepped into this cave, they would have died no matter how many of them came. It was no wonder that Myriad Swords Peak could rely on this ancestral land to destroy powerful enemies time and time again. However, Xing Hui's eyes flashed faintly. The sword intent that was brewing and erupting from the stone pillar might be dangerous for him. But it could also be an opportunity that could transform his mind and ultimately awaken himself. Chapter 60. I was just testing the stone pillar, and the sword essence that burst out was about to break my limit. If I go all out. A gleam flashed through Qing Su's eyes. The next moment he glanced outside the cave. His spirit had transformed, and his sword essence had broken the limit. It was impossible for him to be calm. Before that, Zhou Yi, Yin Liao and Yin Feng, the 3 awakening realm masters, had to be dealt with. Time passed as he waited. 23 hours later, the sword essence reached its peak and burst out. However, since Qing Su had made ample preparations, he managed to get through it unscathed. It wasn't just that. When he resisted the violent and blazing energy within this sword insight, his understanding of his own sword insight had become even deeper, and it faintly arrived at the edge of transformation. If he was able to grasp this opportunity and ceaselessly cultivate, then even if he didn't rely on the pressure of the sword insight within the stone pillar, it would still be possible for his understanding of sword insight to once again ascend to a new level after 3 to 5 years. Haha, there's no movement inside. That guy is dead for sure. Our 10,000 Swords Peak has encountered many dangers over the years, but without exception, as long as the mysterious stone pillar in the ancestral land exists, any enemy who invades our 10,000 Swords Peak will die without exception. Moreover, the treasures they bring with them will also benefit us. This time is no exception, even if Zhuo Qingshu's cultivation is only at the awakening realm. So what if he has reached the 3rd level of the longevity realm, the Qi cultivation aura realm? In front of the mysterious stone pillar in our ancestral land, he'll still die. Zhou Yi, Yin Feng, and Yin Liao's voices came from outside the cave. I wonder if the sword will from the mysterious stone pillar in our ancestral land can kill someone on level 4 of the immortal level. Level 4 of the immortal level is considered the top in any organization. Some rich people even have level 4 god weapons. If we can get our hands on a level 4 god weapon, our Myriad Swords Peak can replace the Lorraine royal family and become the ruler of Lorraine. The 4 realms of immortal level can achieve the unity of spirit and Qi, the stability of the mind, and the unity of spirit and essence. It is almost impossible for them to be killed by pure sword essence, saber essence, spear essence, and fist essence. Even the suzerains of the 10 sacred sects can't kill the 4 realms of immortal level with their minds. Let's not think too much about this. Let's open the dragon-breaking stone and get the 3rd level magic weapon and the flying sword first. Alright, I'll open the dragon-snapping stone now. As the voice rang out, the dragon-snapping stone that sealed off the passageway of the cave slowly rose under the effect of the mysterious mechanism. As the dragon-severing stone rose into the air, the 3 elders of the myriad swords peak impatiently swarmed in, attempting to take the grade 3 divine weapon and grade 4 flying sword in Xing Hui's hands as their own. However, as soon as the 3 elders stepped into the passageway and saw Xing Hui waiting at the back of the passageway, the joy on their faces instantly froze. Qing, Xing Hui, you didn't die? Yunfeng, Zhou Yi, and the others felt their hearts turn cold. Sorry to disappoint you, Xing Hui said indifferently. Swoosh! The next moment, the Qingxian sword suddenly appeared beside him, turning into a sharp sword light that shot out. Before the 2 elders who had just recovered from their shock could react, the Qingxian sword had already pierced through their heads. Spare me! Prince Xing Hui, spare me! The remaining Zhou Yi screamed in fear. He immediately knelt down and kowtowed, begging for mercy. I know the location of the real treasure of our myriad swords peak. Please spare my life, Prince Xing Hui. I'm willing. I've already given you a chance. No. The sword intent in Xing Hui's spiritual world circulated, and the Qingxian sword that had killed the 2 awakening realm elders instantly spun around. As Zhou Yi retreated in fear, the sword caught up with him as fast as lightning, piercing through his left temple and coming out from the right. The scream came to an abrupt end. After killing the 3 awakening realm powerhouses of the myriad swords peak, Xing Hui stepped forward and put the 3 divine weapons they each carried into his personal space. On Elder Yun Liao's body, Xing Hui also found a defensive soft armor that was equivalent to upper grade stage 1. Unfortunately, the Qingxian sword had directly pierced through their heads, so this defensive soft armor was not put to use at all. After pausing for a moment in the corridor, Xing Hui leaped out and went directly to the desolate periphery of the ancestral land. His powerful senses allowed him to quickly find the other disciples of the myriad swords peak's ancestral land. With a move of his sword intent, he killed the 19 people in the ancestral land one by one. After doing this, Xing Hui set up a few traps in the corridor and returned to the cave's stone pillar, waiting for the sword intent to brew in the stone pillar. He planned to wait until the sword intent had brewed to the limit before giving the stone pillar a thunderous blow, causing the sword intent in the stone pillar to erupt completely. Then, under the pressure of the sword intent, it would complete its transformation and awaken itself. 30 hours quickly passed. In these 30 hours, Xing Hui's mental state had been adjusted to its peak. Seeing that the sword intent in the stone pillar had brewed to the limit again, his gaze immediately fell on the stone pillar. Let me see what kind of bloodline talent I can awaken with my current sword intent. In the next moment, the power in Xing Hui's body suddenly erupted. The Qingxian sword turned into a dazzling sword light and slashed fiercely at the mysterious stone pillar. The momentum of the attack seemed to be able to cut the huge stone pillar in half. Boom! The sharp sword chi exploded the moment it collided with the mysterious stone pillar, causing the stone pillar to shatter into pieces. However, other than the flying stone fragments, there was also a terrifying rebound force. Even with the Qingxian sword counteracting it, the rebound force from the mysterious stone pillar still made Xing Hui's palm bleed. He could not help but take a few steps back. It's starting. Qing Su sensed the sword intent from the mysterious stone pillar that seemed to have been infuriated. Afterwards, his essence, vitality, and spirit rose up at the same time, and the brilliant sword intent in his spiritual world shone like the sun, illuminating the surroundings. Rumble! The sword intent on the mysterious stone pillar erupted. Compared to before, the sword intent that erupted this time was like a landslide or a tsunami. It was like 100,000 volcanoes erupting at the same time. The raging, blazing, and destructive sword intent blasted into Xing Hui's spiritual world with an unstoppable force, and collided with the brilliant sword that had been tempered again. Even though Tsing Hui immediately activated his sword talent to the extreme and adjusted his mental state to the extreme, in the face of this raging, blazing, and destructive power, his sword intent could not help but collapse. The blazing sun was completely engulfed by the raging flames that could destroy the world. At the same time, Tsing Hui's mental state, and mental state were also engulfed and extinguished. His life aura fell to the extreme at this moment. The moment the brilliant sword intent condensed from essence, energy, and spirit in his mind was destroyed, Tsing Hui completely fell into a state of nirvana. Divine Beast Bloodline? Self-awakening. All kinds of distracting thoughts disappeared with the collapse of the sword intent. Sword essence. It referred to the immortal will that would never be extinguished. Not his own body, not his bloodline. Even if the divine beasts of the 9 heavens were as glorious as the sun, they couldn't make the chaos eternal. Only by cultivating one's heart, casting the human soul into the sword soul, fusing the sword soul with the divine soul, fusing the divine sword with the divine sword, fusing the will with the sword, fusing the mind 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 with the sword, fusing the rumble. The sword intent that was completely obliterated within the torrent of destruction suddenly transformed into a dazzling sword light that tore through the sky, shattered space, and shot into the sky. Sword intent. The collapsed consciousness was suddenly reborn at this moment and returned to his body. At the same time that this sword will transformed and was reborn from annihilation, there was a mysterious force in the blazing torrent of destruction. It was reborn from the flames, and it attracted the majestic, blazing, and violent sword will from all directions. The first cry of spreading its wings. Bang! In the spiritual world, as the mysterious force spread its wings and cried, everything in the world exploded. No, not an explosion, but birth. Light. Every corner of the spiritual world was filled with a dazzling, blazing light. It was like the first ray of light that brought life to the vast earth, allowing people to understand the meaning of light for the first time. And the source of all the light was the center of that dazzling, blazing power. A divine beast. A divine beast that symbolized the blazing sun. Golden crow. Sun golden crow. At the same time that the golden crow spread its wings, the blazing light carried an endless source of life, illuminating Tsing Hui's body. If someone were to see Tsing Hui's appearance at this moment, they would be able to see that his entire body seemed to be dyed golden in front of the sun golden brilliance projected from the spiritual world. Rays of light constantly escaped from his body, completely illuminating the interior of the cave. Inside his body, all his cells, organs, bones, and blood had also turned into a golden color. They were sparkling and translucent like gold, jade, and jade. This was a transformation. At the moment of awakening, the body was affected by the power of the divine beast bloodline and transformed from the inside out. It was because of this transformation that the strength of an awakening realm expert could far surpass that of a blood transformation realm expert. In the past, Tsing Hui could only rely on the majestic strength obtained from the third stage of physical body liberation to fight against an awakening realm expert. But at this moment, as his sword intent reached the large success stage and completed the transformation under the constant pressure of the mysterious stone pillar's majestic sword intent, he finally took the crucial step of self-awakening. With the brilliant blazing sword intent from the Dongyang Sword Codex as the foundation, he attracted the power of the divine beast, Sun Golden Crow, awakened the Sun Golden Crow bloodline, stepped into the immortality realm, and soared to the sky. Chapter 61. Immortality Level 1. The golden crow shone brightly in the spiritual world. Even though the light only existed in the spiritual world, it affected Xing Hui's body through the influence of the mysterious power, causing every cell, meridian, internal organ, and acupuncture point in his body to be illuminated by the golden light. Under the illumination of the golden light, he was like a large-scale solar reactor, constantly absorbing the energy emitted by the great sun golden crow, subtly changing his body, causing him to become stronger at every moment. But at the core of the spiritual world, what was used to nurture the golden crow was not the scorching sun that he imagined, but a sword intent. A sword intent that was emitting a brilliant light. This sword intent nurtured the golden crow, allowing the golden crow to live while bathing in the brilliant light emitted by the sword intent. This strange phenomenon made Xing Hui, who did not have a thorough understanding of self-awakening, unable to determine the reason behind it. If he could not figure it out, he would not think about it. In the following time, he used his time to stabilize his cultivation base in the awakening realm, using the brilliant light emitted by the golden crow to complete his transformation. While his body was transforming, Xing Hui used the sword intent emitted by the mysterious stone pillar to sharpen his own sword intent. His sword intent had completed a transformation, and the most obvious feature was that his spiritual level had increased from level 34 to level 40. Now that his spiritual strength had reached level 40, and his sword intent had undergone a transformation, the pressure that the sword intent from the mysterious stone pillar exerted on him was greatly reduced. At best, it could only produce a decent tempering effect like the Great One Sword, and this tempering effect would gradually weaken as time passed, and his spiritual strength increased. 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, after a month and a half, the tempering effect of the sword intent that erupted from the mysterious stone pillar was getting weaker and weaker. In addition, the time for the deal with Sword Master Bai Hung was approaching, so he had no choice but to temporarily stop his cultivation. This round of cultivation, it's time to call it a day. Xing Hui looked at the mysterious stone pillar and felt a little regretful. He could sense that the power of the sword intent contained within the mysterious stone pillar was not as simple as it seemed. However, as the azure firmament sword in his hand was only at the 3rd tier, he was unable to uncover the true appearance of the mysterious stone pillar. As a result, he could only leave this secret for now. Only when he obtained a more powerful weapon would he be able to uncover the true appearance of the mysterious stone pillar. It's time to go back. 1.5 months have passed since I came out. I hope that Zhou Guiyi will take the initiative to find Wu Yao and join her sect. Xing Hui stood up and walked out of the cave. After exiting the cave, he found the mechanism and put down the dragon-breaking stone. In an instant, the many secrets in the cave were sealed by the dragon-breaking stone and completely buried. After doing all this, Xing Hui left the desolate Cloud Mountain range and made a trip to the 10,000 Swords Mountain. After a month and a half, there were only a dozen people left in this declining sect. Moreover, Xing Hui did not sense any awakening realm experts among these people. The highest cultivation was only at the blood-changing realm, and there were only 2 people in total. In this regard, he was too lazy to kill again. He quickly crossed the 10,000 Swords Mountain and rushed to the 100 Desolation City. While rushing to the 100 Desolation City, he also had time to operate the Primal Chaos Gate to check his own condition. His attack, defense, and speed had all increased to the 22nd level. 22nd level. Simply put, the direct effect of awakening the Golden Crow's bloodline was that all attributes except spirit increased by 10. 10th level attack, 10th level defense, and 10th level speed. Compared to before, this kind of increase was more than twice as strong. At this time, except for the fact that he had not yet reached the true realm, and did not have the various transformation methods of a genuine Qi realm expert, he was not afraid of any genuine Qi realm expert. If he borrowed the advantage of the Green Cloud Sword and the Green Profound Sword, he could fight against an existence at the peak of the genuine Qi realm. The awakening of bloodline talents can be divided into Ferocious Beast, Spiritual Beast, Holy Beast, and Divine Beast. Among them, The awakening of ferocious beast is the most common awakening. Among the awakening realm experts outside the 10 great holy lands, 60% of them awakened ferocious beast bloodline talents. Once this kind of awakening is awakened, the 3 values will probably reach around the 10th level. After that, the awakening of spiritual beast bloodline talents should be around the 12th to 14th level. The awakening of holy beast bloodline talents should be around the 16th to 18th level, and the awakening of divine beast bloodline talents, 20 to 22nd level. The kind of bloodline awakened was directly related to the strength of one's accumulation. Xing Hui's body was at the 3rd stage of liberation, and he had broken the human body limit 3 times. His strength was not weaker than a spiritual beast bloodline awakener. Now that he had awakened the divine beast bloodline, the golden crow bloodline, he naturally awakened to the peak state, and the 3 values rushed to the 22nd level in one breath. Next, it's time to work on the second awakening method and the corresponding cultivation method. Xing Hui frowned slightly. Cultivation method. Take the genuine qi realm, the second level of the longevity realm, as an example. Different methods of cultivation would produce different effects of genuine qi. In terms of flame series incantations, some people's genuine qi could condense into black flame true fire. Some people could condense into samadhi true fire, and some could even condense into rosefinch true fire. This was the difference in the quality of genuine qi. The divine beast bloodline only gave Xing Hui an extremely high starting point. Just like how a ferocious beast bloodline cultivator wanted to cultivate black flame true qi and condense samadhi true fire, it would take a lot of effort and resources. However, with the golden crow bloodline talent, as long as he cultivated a passable method, it would be easy for him to cultivate samadhi true fire. It would not be difficult for him to cultivate rosefinch true fire, and at the highest level, he could even cultivate solar golden flame to burn the sky and boil the sea. This was like the difference between the easy difficulty and the nightmare difficulty. Because of this, there were countless people who wanted to awaken holy beasts and divine beasts cultivation methods. The bloodline of the divine beast gave me an extremely high starting point. However, a fierce tiger that doesn't want to make progress can't defeat a lone wolf that has experienced hundreds of battles. Next, I will have to spend a lot of effort on the cultivation method. It's best if I can get a cultivation method that combines the void into the reality, the qi into the gang, the divine qi into the unity, the green darkness rampage, and the divine body into one. This kind of cultivation method is compatible with each other and achieves the goal in one step. There's no need to piece everything together. Xing Hui made a decision in his heart. However, the cultivation method of the longevity realm was different from the awakening method. Even a supreme scripture level awakening method would only cost 100 Taoist rhymes. However, the cultivation method of the immortal level was twice as expensive as the awakening method. If he wanted a scripture that included all 6 levels of the immortal level, at least 50 auto rhymes. This was the most common scripture. The cultivation method of an ordinary scripture might not be able to complement the golden crow's bloodline. If the golden crow fell from divine beast to holy beast because of his training, he would become a laughingstock in the world. I have to go one level at a time. The cultivation method of an ordinary scripture level requires 10 auto rhymes for each level. Be it in the eastern wilderness or the heavenly wilderness, many sects and forces monopolized the holy scriptures and divine scriptures to an unprecedented extent. Even though the sons of chaos could wander beyond the blockade of many sects and holy lands, they still valued the inheritance of the holy scriptures and divine scriptures very much. Many times, they would rather keep these cultivation methods in a high pavilion than let them spread to the outside world. However, it was because of this that many sects and holy lands could occupy the best resources to maintain their long-lasting rule. 10 auto rhymes. I hope Zhou Yi won't disappoint me. However, before that, I have to contact the people of Dawn and see if there is anyone else who wants to buy the cultivation method of the Fire Divine Beast bloodline. If we can buy it together, we can save a lot of auto rhymes. With this thought in mind, Xing Hui sent a portion of his consciousness into the Chaos Temple as he hurried along. He then went to the personal space of Lingyu, the leader of Dawn. Pak Hui? I haven't seen you in a while. I've sent you the rendezvous point. The initial rendezvous point is the Cloud Pond in the Yunhuang mountain range. If there are any changes, the rendezvous point may change again. You have to be careful. Lingyu greeted Xing Hui when she saw him. I understand. Xing Hui nodded. It was because he knew that the rendezvous point was within the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's territory, that he could patiently stay in seclusion for a month and a half in the ancestral land of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. If the rendezvous point was within the territory of the Qianquan Holy Land, or the Creation Mystical Sect, he would have left on the flying boat half a month earlier. Apart from the White Tiger bloodline cultivation method, are there any vermilion bird or fire elemental cultivation methods? Oh, you need vermilion bird or fire elemental cultivation methods. Lingyu's gaze fell on Xing Hui. I want to understand the situation, but I don't have enough auto rhymes to complete the transaction. Is that so? Do you have any requirements for these cultivation methods? I remember that Xing Yao has a vermilion bird flame technique, and it's a complete set of techniques for the 6 realms of longevity. Although it's not a direct inheritance, but an oral teaching, the price is much cheaper, and its grade has reached the level of a first-class saint technique. Oral cultivation method, first-rate saint technique. Oral cultivation method was a second-rate cultivation method. No one knew if the other party would leave any hidden tricks in the cultivation method. Moreover, if he cultivated a first-rate saint technique, he would definitely destroy the Great Sun Golden Crow. I want a divine codex. Divine codex. Lingyu's eyes flashed. It seems that Her Excellency Pak Hui's ambition is not small. It's either not doing it or not doing it. Naturally, I have to do my best. I'll help you contact them. Dawn has quite a few organizations that we're on good terms with, and some of them are quite trustworthy. Sometimes, they'll cooperate with us when they need to raise funds to trade for top-tier techniques. This time we can go and find them. Wait for my reply in 3 days. Thank you. It's nothing. Xing Hui nodded and left Lingyu's personal space. Seeing Xing Hui leave, Lingyu could not help but mutter to herself. An awakened divine beast bloodline? It's not easy to awaken such a bloodline. Are you the young faction leader of some holy land, the saint? Or did you awaken on your own? Chapter 62. 2 days later, Xing Hui stepped into the 100 Desolation City. Time was running out. The Cloud Pond was in the north of the Cloud Desolation mountain range, near the Eastern Cloud Empire. It would take nearly 10 days to get there. If Xing Hui wanted to get enough Taoist connotation before the transaction with Sword Master Bai Heng, he had to act as soon as possible. With this urgent thought, Xing Hui came to the inn, where Wu Yuyao was temporarily staying. When Xing Hui came to Wu Yuyao's room, he found that there was already another guest living here. This result made his face change color, and he immediately went to find the shopkeeper. Where did the girl in the 3rd room go? It's the Demon Hunters Union. The Demon Hunters Union brought people here not long ago, and took Miss Wu away. The shopkeeper did not dare to hide anything and hurriedly said, The Demon Hunters Union? Xing Hui's face turned cold. The Demon Hunters Union actually dared to go against him? A true disciple who was less than 40 years old, and had reached the Qi cultivation aura realm, could not intimidate their restless ambitions? Xing Hui turned around, and ran straight to the Demon Hunters Union. The 2 guards at the gate of the Demon Hunters Union saw Xing Hui coming quickly, and immediately recognized his identity. Their faces changed greatly, and they did not even care about the gate, and quickly reported to the Demon Hunters Union. When Xing Hui stepped into the Demon Hunters Union, Tong Fei, the president of the Demon Hunters Union in the 100 Desolation City, hurriedly greeted him and said, Prince Xing Hui, please calm down. Prince Xing Hui, please calm down. This matter has nothing to do with our Demon Hunters Union. The people sent by the Demon Hunters Union are people from the Demon Hunters Union. They brought young Master Longquan's guards and forcibly took Miss Wu away. Young Master Longquan's guards are not only at the peak of the blood transformation realm, but also have taken a lot of spirit beast blood essence. They are extremely powerful, and have once defeated 6 blood transformation realm experts by themselves. We can't stop them at all. Demon Hunters Union, young Master Longquan. How long has she been taken away by them? Where are you going? Young Master Longquan is a well-known figure in the Eastern Cloud Empire. Since he sent someone to take Miss Wu away, they must have gone to the Eastern Cloud Empire. Miss Wu was taken away 10 days ago, but because they took a carriage instead of a flying boat, it will take them another 10 days to reach the Eastern Cloud Empire. Tong Fei didn't dare to hide anything and told him everything in detail. 10 days. Xing Hui was a little angry because of young Master Longquan's actions. His plan of using Wu Yuyao to lure Zhou Yi over, and then borrowing Zhou Yi's hand to collect the Dao vessel was completely disrupted. Don's trade only happened once every 1 or 2 years. If he couldn't accumulate enough Dao aura to trade for enough cultivation techniques from Sword Master Bai Heng, he would have wasted 1 or 2 years. His original goal was to cultivate to the void-shattering realm like Dong Qian in 10 years. Time was already tight. If he was delayed in the immortality realm for 1 or 2 years, Tong Fei felt Xing Hui's anger and immediately trembled with fear. We're just some small figures. We can't stop the people sent by young Master Longquan. We also sent people to search for young Master's whereabouts near the 100 Desolation City. But young Master came and went without a trace. We couldn't find young Master at all. Please forgive us, Prince Xing Hui. The other members of the Demon Hunters Union also kept quiet out of fear that Xing Hui's anger would implicate them and bring disaster to them. During this time, did someone called Zhou Bui come to join Wu Yuyao? Captain Zhou. Tong Fei was slightly startled and immediately said, Yes. Captain Zhou did come to join Miss Wu half a month ago, after Miss Wu was captured by young Master Longquan. He's currently looking everywhere for Prince Xing Hui's whereabouts. He wants young Master to go and save Miss Wu. He should be near the 100 Desolation City. I'll send people to find him. Hearing this, Xing Hui felt like he had seen the light at the end of the tunnel. Go quickly. I'll wait for news at the Demon Hunters Union. Yes. Tong Fei hurriedly agreed, and then shouted to the members of the Demon Hunters Union behind him. Didn't you hear Prince Xing Hui's order? Invite Captain Zhou here immediately. Yes. The members of the Demon Hunters Union, who received the order, quickly took action. In less than 2 hours, Tong Fei had already brought several core members of the Demon Hunters Union and rushed to the courtyard where Xing Hui was temporarily resting. He shouted from afar, Prince Xing Hui, Captain Zhou is here. Prince Xing Hui, I know our master offended Prince Xing Hui, but I implore Prince Xing Hui to be a good person to the end and save our miss. A middle-aged man behind Tong Fei stepped forward and knelt down to Xing Hui at the first moment. Zhou Bui and the others were Wu Hunyuan's confidants. They were indebted to Wu Hunyuan. Even though Wu Hunyuan was already dead, they were still loyal and devoted to the children he left behind. I've completed a deal with Wu Yuyao. Naturally, I'll save her life, Xing Hui said and glanced at Tong Fei and the others. All of you leave. Yes. Seeing that Xing Hui's anger had subsided, Tong Fei and the others hurriedly responded and left the courtyard as if they had been pardoned. Has Wu Yuyao ever told you the content of our deal? No. Xing Hui took out the gem that contained the Taoist connotation. This is the content of our deal. You need to take me to the place where this gem is produced. I'll be responsible for protecting Wu Yuyao's safety. This gem. Zhou Bui looked at the gem in Xing Hui's hand for a moment and immediately said, I know where these gems are. Because I don't know what these gems are used for. President Wu only took one because he thought Miss might like it. Look carefully at that place, and there should be some more. If Prince Xing Hui is willing to keep his promise to save Miss Wu, I'll take Prince Xing Hui to find these gems. Good. Xing Hui stood up immediately. Take me there, the faster the better. I'll take a flying boat directly to the Eastern Cloud Empire and intercept Wu Yuyao before she's handed over to that so-called young Master Longquan. Your speed will determine whether I can save your miss in time. The flying boat to and from the Eastern Cloud Empire only leaves once every half a month. The last one was 10 days ago, 5 days. If we hurry, we'll be able to get to that place. Zhou Buwei also made a prompt decision. I'll take Prince Xinghui there now. Tong Fei, prepare the best steed for me. Xinghui's order was passed down. Soon 2 horned dragons were ready. This was a kind of wild beast that was similar to a horse, but was actually a tamed beast. It was so strong that ordinary viscera refinement cultivators would find it difficult to suppress it. Once it started running, it could easily cover 1,000 miles in a day. Most importantly, this kind of wild beast had sharp reflexes and could run through complex woodlands and mountains. It was the best mount to enter the mountains. Time was of the essence. The 2 of them rode the horned dragons toward Zhou Gi's location without stopping for a moment. Although the Demon Hunters Union specialized in hunting monsters and refining blood essence, the group led by Hunyuan had limited abilities. They were often active in the outer and middle circles of the Yinhuang mountain range. At most, they would be 300 to 400 miles deep into the Yinhuang mountain range. If they went any deeper, the powerful spirit beasts inside would not be something they could easily deal with. If they were not careful, they would be surrounded and killed by the spirit beasts, risking their lives. The journey was not far. Even if it took some time to find the way, Xinghui still arrived at the place mentioned by Zhou Gi on the morning of the second day. As the 2 of them stepped into a cave where spirit beasts lived, the Chaos Temple's voice rang in Xinghui's mind before he could even see where the gemstones were. Discovered Dao Carrier. Dao Rhyme Value 2. Do you want to fuse it? Discovered Dao Carrier. Dao Rhyme Value 1. Do you want to fuse it? Discovered Dao Carrier. Dao Rhyme Value 3. Do you want to fuse it? Several notifications sounded at the same time. Xinghui thought about it carefully and was pleasantly surprised to find that there were 9 notifications. 9 Dao Carrier items. He immediately focused his mind, looked around, and quickly collected all 9 broken gemstones. As he collected the 9 broken gemstones and the Dao Carrier item in his hand that contained Dao Rhyme, he had obtained a total of 20 Dao Rhyme values. As expected, the so-called Dao carrying object meant that it would last for 3 years, but once it did, it could last for 3 years. Some people might never encounter a Dao carrier item in their entire life. Occasionally they would encounter 1 or 2 Dao Rhyme values. However, some people with excellent luck would not only have fortuitous encounters, but they would also obtain dozens or even hundreds of Dao carrier items. There was even a legend that had been circulating in the Chaos Temple. Back then, the Divine Wilderness continent had a Dao carrier item that contained thousands of Dao Rhyme values, causing all the invincible experts in the Divine Wilderness to fight each other. In the end, the Divine Wilderness was destroyed, and the powerful and glorious cultivation civilization fell into decline. Until today, it was rumored that it had not truly recovered. Of course, the reason it had not recovered was not that there were no more geniuses born since then, but monopoly. The monopoly of cultivation techniques. Those obviously talented people could not obtain the best cultivation techniques and resources, so it was naturally difficult for them to stand out. How many geniuses could they find in the vast continent just by relying on the many sects to search for geniuses? As a result, it was naturally difficult to restore the glory of the past. These gemstones seemed to be able to form a whole. Xinghui held the 10 gemstone fragments in his hand and looked at them for a moment before finally putting them away again. Being able to form a whole was meaningless to him. What he needed was to exchange these gemstone fragments for a suitable awakening method and a cultivation method for the Qi realm. That was all. Prince Xinghui. Seeing that Xinghui had obtained what he was satisfied with, Zhou Buwei nervously reminded him, as if afraid that he would abandon Wu Yuyao after obtaining what he wanted. Don't worry, I will keep my promise. We will return to the Lorraine Kingdom and buy a ticket to the Eastern Cloud Empire. Before young Master Longquan's men bring Wu Yuyao to young Master Longquan, we will kill them. Xinghui did not intend to go to the Eastern Sun Empire and enter the circle of the Eastern Sun Empire. After all, it was too close to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. But now, he had to go to the Eastern Sun Empire. Yes, thank you, Prince Xinghui. Zhou Buwei could not help but express his gratitude. Xinghui did not waste any more time, and left the Yinhuang mountain range with Zhou Buwei. Considering that he could not always follow Wu Yuyao like a bodyguard, and that Zhou Buwei was loyal to her, he might as well take him to the Eastern Cloud Empire. At that time, with Zhou Buwei and the power of the divine armament building, it would not be difficult for Wu Yuyao to live the rest of her life without worries. It could be considered as fulfilling his promise. Chapter 63. Lorraine Royal Capital. After nearly 2 months, Xing Hui returned to the city. The last time he came to the Lorraine Royal Capital, no one knew of his existence. But this time, the moment he stepped into the Lorraine Royal Capital, the first prince, the 10th prince, and the 12th prince brought people to welcome him. However, Xing Hui was pressed for time and did not want to have too much to do with the Lorraine royal family. He bought 2 tickets to the Eastern Sun Empire at the airport of the Lorraine royal capital for 10,000 gold each, and found an inn to wait patiently. Most of the airships in the 24 countries of Lorraine were manufactured by the Hunyuan Heaven sect, but some airships were sold to private individuals. If the true disciples of the Hunyuan Heaven sect wanted to go out, they could use the airships in the Hunyuan Heaven sect for free. As for the ordinary disciples and ordinary people, they could at most enjoy a discount. They still had to pay for the tickets. While waiting for the airship to arrive, Xing Hui divided his attention and stepped into the Chaos Temple again. The 3-day time limit he agreed to with the leader of the Dawn faction, Ling Yu, was up. Pak Hui. At this moment, Ling Yu was talking about something with a rather young woman in white clothes. When she saw Qing Su arrive, she greeted him and told him to take a seat. Their conversation continued. After a while, Ling Yu stood up again and introduced with a smile. This is Fei Xue from the Dawn faction. Fei Xue and a few friends from the Dawn faction also want to buy a fire-type cultivation art. Her trade partner is the 6-winged divine phoenix. 6-winged divine phoenix? Phoenix bloodline? Yes, the Phoenix bloodline. Although the Phoenix bloodline is not one of the 18 divine beast bloodlines, it is a top existence among the divine beast bloodlines. It is second only to the vermilion bird among the fire-type divine beasts. It also has infinite potential. Not only can it cultivate the Nanming primordial fire, but it also has the Nirvana fire. Every time it is reborn from the fire, its cultivation will improve greatly. Xing Hui nodded. The 4 origin flames of heaven and earth were the Grand Sun primordial fire, the Nanming primordial fire, the Red Lotus fire, and the Xianming primordial fire. However, other than these 4 origin flames, there were also flames similar to Nirvana flames, Purgatory flames, Heavenly lightning flames, True Samadhi flames, and so on. These flames also possessed all sorts of inconceivable mysteries. Some flames, if used well, were even more miraculous than the 4 origin flames. The 6-winged godly phoenix mainly cultivates the true technique of Nanming primordial fire and the 9 revolutions of nirvana. The true technique of Nanming primordial fire cultivates the true technique of Nanming primordial fire, one of the 4 great origin flames. It is a top-notch technique. As for the 9 revolutions of nirvana, it is a top-notch technique. However, even the 6-winged godly phoenix only has 3 revolutions. How much is the price of the 9 revolutions of nirvana? The price of each grade of the cultivation technique does not increase as much as the awakening technique. However, because the base price is too high, it is not cheap. The 9 revolutions of nirvana corresponds to the 3 realms of true qi, energy refining, and unity of spirit and energy. However, to complete the transaction, we estimate that we still need 60 Taoist rhymes. Currently, we have already found 6 partners. If Madame Pak Hui is willing to join us, we will have 7 partners. We plan to gather at least 10 people. The inheritors will have to pay 15 Taoist rhymes. On average, each person will have to pay 5 Taoist rhymes. Qing Su nodded when he heard that. I'll join. Fei Xue's eyes lit up. Great! We have been gathering 9 people for almost a year. The last person who joined us was 3 months ago. Now we have 7 people. We should still need to find more for the next 2. I estimate that we will have an answer in 3 to 5 months. 3 to 5 months? Xing Hui frowned. This is a large-scale transaction with 60 Taoist rhymes. It's not too much to prepare for 1 to 2 years. Ling Yu, who was at the side, said while shaking her head. The main thing is that your requirements are too high. The Divine Grimoire. So what if you have the Divine Grimoire? Do you think it is so easy to cultivate the Nirvana flame? In my opinion, it is better to exchange for a holy technique to cultivate. You must know that the price of a Divine Grimoire cultivation technique, for the Immortality Stage 6, is between 50 to 200 Taoist rhymes. However, the Divine Grimoire only costs 10 to 50 Taoist rhymes. The difference is huge. We have no choice. If we do not want to be bullied by the Holy Lands, we can only rely on such methods to constantly improve ourselves. Feishua said helplessly, mastering a top-notch cultivation technique is equivalent to mastering a lot of benefits. It is no wonder that their chaos level is so high. That is not the case. Sword Master Bai Hung and the others want to pass on their understanding of these techniques to you through the inheritance method. Not only will it exhaust their spirit, but it will also cause them to lose their comprehension and their foundation to be unstable if they do it too many times. Therefore, it is not impossible that those Almighties are not willing to trade their techniques through the spiritual inheritance method. If it is just a verbal exchange, I believe that the number of Almighties who are willing to trade their techniques will increase by at least a few times. If it is just a verbal exchange, there will not be any inheritors who can differentiate between the two. Who knows if those Almighties are using an ordinary technique to trick us? This is not uncommon in the past. They often only needed to make 1 trip to earn 3 to 4 million gold. They could make 2 trips a month, which was equivalent to 4 trips. Their monthly income was more than 10 million gold. Even the Lorraine royal family's tax revenue could not compare. Even the Beast Hunters Union had been attacked by Hunyuan Heaven Sect's true disciples, let alone a profiteering industry like Hunyuan Airline. The background of such a force was at least one of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's true disciples ranked in the top 100. It might even be the property of an elder. More than half of the first-class cabins were at the blood-changing realm. Even if they were not at the blood-changing realm, they would definitely be protected by someone of a similar level. In the uppermost area, there were more than a dozen awakening realm experts. They were either resting with their eyes closed or chatting in groups of 3 or 5. Prince Xinghui, please. If you have any instructions, just press the button next to your seat. Someone will come and entertain you. Zhao Fengchen gestured for Xinghui to take his seat. Unlike the seats in the ordinary cabins, the first-class cabins were quite spacious. They were similar to the sofas on Earth. Not to mention sitting, one could even lie down. Not far from his seat, a level 1 immortality realm expert was chatting with a friend. When he heard Zhao Fengchen mention Xinghui's name, he could not help but be stunned. After Zhao Fengchen left, he quickly greeted him with a smile. So it's Prince Xinghui. No wonder you have such an extraordinary appearance. I'm Sujiu, the manager of the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce. This is my friend 100 Illusions. Nice to meet you. The first-class cabins of the flying ship had the function of promoting social interaction. However, Xinghui did not want to get too involved with these people. In the end, he only nodded and did not reply. When Su Jiao and 100 Illusions saw his arrogant appearance, they could not help but be slightly stunned. However, Su Jiao considered her purpose of coming over and patiently said, "In the Lorraine Kingdom, rumor has it that the 10,000 Swords Mountain offended Prince Xinghui and was destroyed by Prince Xinghui. Of course, we absolutely support Prince Xinghui's actions. The 10,000 Swords Mountain did not know what was good for them and dared to be rude to Prince Xinghui. Naturally, they have to pay the price for their choice. However, Prince Xinghui should not have sold the many treasures he obtained after destroying the 10,000 Swords Mountain, right? I wonder if Prince Xinghui can sell these things to the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce? We are willing to buy them at a high price." Chapter 64. Destroy the 10,000 Swords Mountain? On the side, Zhou Buwei and the awakened experts nearby all looked at Qing Su at the same time. They could not help but feel shocked. The 10,000 Swords Mountain? The 10,000 Swords Mountain, in the Cloud Wilderness mountain range of the Lorraine Kingdom? Of course, it's that ancient sect that has been around for more than 400 years. I heard about it the last time I came to the Lorraine Kingdom, but I didn't ask around because I was pressed for time. I didn't expect it to be true, and it was Prince Tsinghui who destroyed it? If I remember correctly, the ancestor of the 10,000 Swords Mountain has already cultivated to the second level of the Immortality Realm, the True Energy Realm, and wields a level 2 divine weapon. Even if a dozen or so Awakening Realm experts swarmed him, they would still be no match for him. Can this young Master Qing Su destroy such a powerful force? Prince Tsinghui's strength might not be enough to be feared, but he has a stage 3 divine weapon, and a true disciple of the Hunyuan heavenly sect, who is at the Energy Condensation Realm as his backer. He might be able to destroy the 10,000 Swords Mountain. A stage 3 divine weapon, and a true disciple, who is at the Energy Condensation Realm. No wonder. Many Awakening Realm experts discussed animatedly. They had been chatting in groups of 3 to 5, but when they looked at Tsinghui again, their gazes were clearly different. Fear and reverence. At this moment, they also understood why the vice captain of Wind Cloud Airlines' 4th ship, Zhao Fengchen, had personally gone down to invite Tsinghui to the first-class cabin. Not to mention the true disciple behind him, who was at the Energy Condensation Realm. Just his shocking battle record of destroying the 10,000 Swords Mountain was enough to deserve such treatment. Tsinghui did not take the crowd's discussion to heart. Instead, he looked at the 2 managers of the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce. He did have many valuable items from the 10,000 Swords Mountain, including dozens of divine weapons, but what is the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce willing to exchange for them? Tsinghui's words excited Su Jiao and 100 illusions. Since he was willing to answer, it meant that Tsinghui had the intention to sell them. Then things would be easier. May I know what items Prince Tsinghui is willing to sell? According to the items that Prince Tsinghui is selling, we are willing to exchange them with the blood essence of spirit beasts, supreme true techniques, graded pills, and even spirit-grade sword techniques and magic incantations. Spirit beast blood essence and supreme true technique. When Tsinghui heard this, he shook his head. I don't think there's a need to make a deal. No, Prince Tsinghui, don't be anxious. Why don't you tell me what you need, Prince Tsinghui? If it's possible, the Flowing Wind Chamber of Commerce will do our best. Tsinghui glanced at Su Jiao. His cultivation level was not considered weak now, but his only shortcoming was the lack of attacking methods. The Dongyang Sword Codex was considered the best before the Immortal level, but after the Immortal level, the level of abstruseness was greatly reduced, especially when it came to the second level of Immortal level, which involved the operation of genuine qi, which was not something the Dongyang Sword Codex could have. The Nirvana Flame cultivation method came with its own attacking methods, but there were still 3 to 5 months before the start of the transaction. During this time, when he fought with others, he couldn't rely on pure attack, defense, and speed to crush his opponent. As such, a high-quality sword technique became extremely important. The 10 Great Sage clans have very strict control over the awakening methods and cultivation methods of the Sacred Codex level. However, there are occasionally fist techniques, spear techniques, and sword techniques of the Sacred Codex level. What I want is a Sacred Codex level sword technique. A Sacred Codex level sword technique. Su Jiao looked at Tsinghui and gritted her teeth. If Prince Tsinghui can take out the goods we want, the Flowing Wind Chamber of Commerce does have Sacred Codex level sword techniques. For months ago, we coincidentally collected an incomplete copy of the Supreme Sword Technique, the 13 Heaven Burning Swords, which was passed down from Tian Huang. There are a total of 3 swords. 13 Heaven Burning Swords? The Supreme Sword Technique of the Sacred Codex level. That's right. A hint of pride appeared on Su Jiao's face. The president of the Flowing Wind Chamber of Commerce obtained this book by chance. While he was comprehending the sword technique, he made use of every second to copy 10 copies. These 10 copies are the essence of the first 3 swords of the 13 Heaven Burning Swords. After that, the president copied another 100 copies based on his memory. However, Since he no longer had the comprehension he had when he first obtained the inheritance, the president can't guarantee that the person who buys these copies can cultivate the first 3 swords of the 13 heaven-burning swords. Price. The first 10 copies are priced at 3rd stage divine weapons, 3rd stage holy beast blood essence, or 3rd stage elixirs. The last 100 copies are cheaper. They only cost 2nd stage divine weapons, 2nd stage holy beast blood essence, and 2nd stage elixirs. 3rd stage divine weapons. Obviously, the people of the Flowing Wind Chamber of Commerce knew about the 3rd stage divine weapons in his possession and wanted them. Sword techniques are different from cultivation methods and awakening methods. The first 3 swords of a set of sword techniques are not worth this price. Xinghui shook his head and said, "Young Master Qing Su, that's the 13 heaven incinerating swords of the Saint Rank Supreme Sword technique. Moreover, although the 13 heaven incinerating swords is incomplete, if young Master Qing Su can head to the Tianhuang mainland in the future, you might be able to gather the complete 13 heaven incinerating swords. Moreover, a complete supreme sword technique is something that no one would be willing to exchange for even if it was a 4th, 5th, or 6th divine weapon, let alone a mere 3rd grade divine weapon. Sword techniques are different from awakening methods and cultivation methods. Cultivation methods require step-by-step progress. If you want to cultivate, you have to start from the beginning. Once you change your cultivation method, you have to change the entire book. Therefore, the price of cultivation methods of the 1st and 2nd stage of the longevity realm is often the same as the price of the 5th and 6th stage of the longevity realm. However, sword techniques, fist techniques, and other techniques are not the same. The lower the level, the lower the price. Take the 13 heaven-burning swords of the Supreme Holy Sword technique as an example. Even if you cultivate the 3rd sword, you might not be able to compare to the 5th, or even 4th sword of the Supreme Spiritual Sword technique, in terms of power. That's true, but high-level sword techniques have always been hard to come by. It's reasonable that the price is high. Xinghui shook his head. I'm willing to use a 2nd stage divine weapon to buy one of the 10 sword techniques. This price is too low. Suzhou bitterly smiled. Go and ask your president. Suzhou helplessly nodded. After that, a few martial artists who thought they were of some status stepped forward to greet Xinghui and get to know him. However, Xinghui appeared rather cold. Everyone could tell that he did not want to talk about it. To avoid arousing his disgust, they could only turn around and leave. Half a day quickly passed. During this time, the airship arrived at the Weihai Kingdom and stopped there. Not long after, more than 30 people boarded the airship one after another. When a graceful and noble woman in a palace dress boarded the airship surrounded by several awakening realm powerhouses, the airship was once again in an uproar. It's Princess Lanyu. I didn't expect Princess Lanyu to take this flying ship. Princess Lanyu was already a true disciple 4 years ago. She could have applied for a special flying ship to pick her up. I didn't expect her to take an ordinary flying ship. She's a true disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. A true disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect is comparable to the king of a country. Amidst the discussions, those who thought they were of some status stepped forward, wanting to get to know Princess Lanyu. Princess Lanyu chatted and laughed. With her powerful aura and noble status, she quickly became the center of attention on the flying ship. Even Zhao Fengchen accompanied her. After chatting for a while, someone seemed to mention Xinghui's name. Princess Lanyu's gaze immediately landed on him. You're Cho Xinghui, senior sister Nalin's relative? I heard senior sister Nalin mention you half a year ago. Xinghui raised his head slightly and looked at Princess Lanyu. You know Aunt Nalin? Of course. Princess Lanyu smiled. Senior sister Nalin is one of my few good friends in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. I am indebted to her for taking care of me when I joined the Hunyuan Heaven sect. She then looked at Xinghui. Rumor has it that you single-handedly destroyed a branch of the Beast Hunters Union? Is that true? Haha, Princess Lanyu. Prince Xinghui's battle record isn't as simple as destroying a branch of the Beast Hunters Union. A month ago, he single-handedly destroyed the Lorraine Kingdom's famous 10,000 Swords Mountain. The 10,000 Swords Mountain has hundreds of years of history, dozens of awakening stage experts, and even true Qi stage experts. But they were still defeated by Prince Tsinghui single-handedly. Destroyed the 10,000 Swords Mountain? Princess Lan Yu was a little surprised. I've heard of the 10,000 Swords Mountain in the Weihai Kingdom. They're quite powerful, and almost replaced the Lorraine royal family as the ruler of Lorraine. Tsinghui, you actually destroyed such a large sect? I just relied on the divine sword. Divine sword? Prince Tsinghui has a rank 3 divine weapon. Zhao Fengchen said enviously. Rank 3 divine weapon? Princess Lan Yu was a little surprised. Senior sister Nailin thinks so highly of you? Obviously, she thought that the rank 3 divine weapon in Tsinghui's hand was given to him by Nailin Fei. Since you have such battle strength, why don't you join the Hunyuan Heaven sect? I see that you've already awakened, but there are no traces of cultivation techniques. If you join the Hunyuan Heaven sect, not only will you become senior sister Nailin's right-hand man, but you'll also be able to obtain supreme techniques if you make contributions. It's much easier than finding your own techniques. If I have the chance, I'll go to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Princess Lan Yu shook her head. You've just stepped into the awakening stage. It's the most crucial moment of your cultivation. How can you waste time? I think when we reach the capital of the Eastern Cloud Empire, I'll take you directly to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Senior sister Nailin values you and your sister very much. She'll be very happy to see you. Tsinghui shook his head, unwilling to explain further. When Princess Lan Yu saw this scene, she frowned and muttered in her heart. What a worrisome little guy. He stepped into the awakening stage at such a young age, and it's time for his confidence to soar. How can he know the difference between cultivating alone and relying on a sect? It seems that in order to prevent him from missing the best opportunity to cultivate, I'll have to personally take him to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Princess Lan Yu then began to tell Tsinghui about the power of the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the various benefits of joining. Tsinghui wanted to know more about the Hunyuan Heaven sect, so he listened patiently. A day passed unknowingly. When night was about to fall, a towering giant city appeared on the horizon. They had arrived at the Eastern Cloud Empire. Chapter 65. The Eastern Cloud Empire was one of the 3 most prosperous empires under the Hunyuan Heaven sect's jurisdiction. The entire empire spanned tens of thousands of miles, and countless cities dotted every corner of the empire's territory. The cultivation culture was unprecedentedly prosperous. As the imperial capital of such a top empire, it was even more prosperous and dazzling. The Eastern Cloud Empire's capital was 300 feet tall, and there were many towers. Even Awakening Realm and True Energy Realm experts would find it difficult to climb. A large number of fortifications had been set up around the city, and in some places, dense cannons could be seen, intimidating everyone. The population of the Eastern Cloud Empire's capital had reached an astonishing 30 million people. It was the most populous city under the Hunyuan Heaven sect's jurisdiction. It had a large population, a flourishing cultivation culture, and was also close to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Such a city naturally had as many experts as there were clouds. Qing Su landed at the port on his flying boat. He glanced over from above and saw no less than 1,000 viscera refinement experts. There were several hundred blood transformation experts. As for eternal life experts who had awakened their bloodlines, they were not uncommon either. Perhaps this had something to do with the airport's special location, but from this, one could see the prosperity of the entire Eastern Cloud Empire. Junior brother Tsinghui, is this your first time in the Eastern Cloud Empire? Princess Lan Yu came to Tsinghui's side. She had a good relationship with Nailin Fei. When she saw that Tsinghui was about to go astray, she naturally volunteered to correct him. This Eastern Cloud Empire's capital. Tsinghui looked around and saw that the buildings stretched as far as the eye could see. Even with his experience on Earth, he was still secretly shocked. Where are you going? I'll take you there. I've been to the Eastern Cloud Empire's capital more than 10 times, so I'm very familiar with it. Princess Lan Yu smiled. Tsinghui glanced at Sujiu, who was beside him. Sujiu tactfully said, Prince Tsinghui, We have already asked our president. The president sincerely requests that Prince Tsing Hui move to our Chamber of Commerce's headquarters for a chat. Princess Lan Yu, who was at the side, already knew about the deal between Tsing Hui and Sujiu. She said, "The 13 sky-burning swords is a swordsmanship that can be used until one reaches the Supreme Sage stage. However, you only have 3 swords in your hands. Moreover, they are the 3 swords with the lowest value, from the Immortality Stage 1 to the Immortality Stage 3. My junior brother Tsing Hui's offer of a Stage 2 divine weapon is already considered a high price." After saying that, she turned to Tsing Hui. The Eastern Sun Imperial Capital is actually equivalent to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's window to the outside world. Not only do many forces under the Hunyuan Heaven Sect set up shops here, but even some elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, who are proficient in artifact refinement and alchemy, will sell the pills and artifacts they refined. Not to mention the swordsmanship manuals they occasionally obtain. As long as we patiently search, we might be able to find a more suitable swordsmanship. When Sujiu heard this, she was afraid that this big deal would be ruined. She hurriedly said, "Princess Lan Yu, our president invited Prince Tsing Hui to the headquarters with the intention of completing the deal. It's just that it's more convenient to discuss it at the headquarters. It's good that you're willing to complete the deal. Junior brother Tsing Hui, shall we go together?" Tsing Hui considered that Wu Yuyao had definitely not entered the Eastern Cloud Empire's capital yet, so there was still time. In addition, he could not resist Princess Lan Yu's enthusiasm. Besides, he really needed the first 3 swords of the 13 sky-burning swords, so he immediately nodded. The group boarded a carriage that the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce was in charge of receiving distinguished guests. Soon, they headed toward the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce's headquarters. Along the way, Tsing Hui looked around through the window. He saw that the Eastern Sun Imperial Capital was extremely rich in products. Many shops openly sold top-notch elixirs, such as the marrow cleansing pill. In some places, there were even advanced divine weapons hanging in the windows to attract attention. The cultivators who went in and out of these shops were also vigorous. Along the way, he even saw 3 immortal level 2 true energy realm powerhouses walking on the streets. It had to be known that in the Lorraine Kingdom and other places, true energy realm experts of the immortality realm were often equivalent to the grand elders of large sections. Even in the Lorraine royal family, the number of true energy realm experts could be counted with 2 hands. However, in this place, they were almost as common as awakening realm experts. If the Eastern Cloud Empire's capital at the foot of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect was already like this, one could imagine how powerful the real Hunyuan Heaven Sect was. Under Sujiu's lead, the group quickly arrived at a large courtyard. In terms of scale, this courtyard was similar to the Ing Garden. However, it was different from the Lorraine Kingdom. In the Eastern Cloud Empire, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce could occupy such a large area. "Prince Tsing Hui, please. Our president is already waiting in the living room." Sujiu enthusiastically led the way. Soon, the group arrived at the living room. When they entered the living room, the 3 figures waiting inside stood up at the same time. One of them smiled at Tsing Hui, and the others cupped his hands. "Haha, this must be Prince Tsing Hui and Princess Lan Yu, right? I'm Feng Xiaoxiao. Nice to meet you. Since you've chosen to trade with the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce, we won't disappoint you. Please take a seat." Tsing Hui nodded. At the same time, he scanned the man with an appraisal skill. Feng Xiaoxiao. Cultivation Realm. True Energy Realm. Attack level 26. Defense level 23. Speed level 24. Mental Strength level 21. An expert in the middle stage of the True Energy Realm. Although Feng Xiaoxiao was the president of the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce, he had to entertain VIPs daily. Clearly, he couldn't be the strongest person in the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce. There were probably late-stage, or even peak True Energy Realm experts in the organization. As for Qi cultivation, that was on another level. "Prince Tsing Hui, please take a look." Feng Xiaoxiao gestured with his hand. An old man beside him immediately handed a book to Tsing Hui. It was the 13 Swords of the Burning Heaven. Ah, President Feng, you're handing the 13 swords of the burning heaven to me just like that? Xing Hui took the book and flipped through it. He realized that it was a detailed version of the first 3 swords of the 13 swords of the burning heaven. Of course, we trust Prince Xing Hui. If Prince Xing Hui can introduce us to Miss Nalan, what's wrong with giving these 3 swords to Prince Xing Hui? Princess Lan Yu faintly smiled. There were a total of 3 obstacles in the 6 stages of immortality. They were Qi cultivation as one, and the divine manifestation. Qi cultivation as one's Qi cultivation required one to solidify one's willpower and compress one's Qi cultivation into Qi cultivation. Countless true disciples were stuck at this stage. Therefore, although Qi cultivation as one's Qi cultivation was only 1 stage higher than the true energy realm, there was a huge difference in status between the two. This was also the reason why the Lorraine royal family did not pay much attention to Nalan Fei when she was in the true energy realm. However, once Qi cultivation as one's Qi cultivation became Qi cultivation, they would feel uneasy even if they offended any of her relatives. Xing Hui had the support of Nalan Fei, who had entered the Qi cultivation as one's Qi cultivation before the age of 40. Hence, the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce's actions were completely reasonable. Xing Hui did not respond to Feng Xiaoxiao's words. He carefully flipped through the 3 swords of the burning heaven. He immediately felt that the 3 swords of the burning heaven were extremely compatible with his awakened Golden Crow bloodline. Burn the heavens, burn the heavens. In this world, the only thing that could truly burn the heavens was the great sun. Apart from the great sun, what other kind of flame could burn the heavens? This is a Tier 2 divine weapon. Xing Hui immediately took out the spoils of war he had obtained from the 10,000 Swords Peak's Grand Elder. Prince Xing Hui is straightforward. Although Feng Xiaoxiao did not manage to get in touch with Nalan Fei through Xing Hui, it was not a bad thing to be able to befriend such a young talent with unlimited potential. She immediately accepted the divine weapon with a smile and completed the transaction. I wonder if Prince Xing Hui is willing to sell the other divine weapons? The Lufeng Chamber of Commerce is willing to purchase them at a high price. No need. Xing Hui still had to contact Xian Long, who had just established the Divine Weapon Pavilion in Eastern Cloud's imperial capital. These divine weapons from the 10,000 Swords Peak would be the first batch of goods to open up the Eastern Sun Empire's market. After all, no matter how prosperous the Eastern Sun Empire was, there were still very few awakened realm cultivators. Tier 1 divine weapons were still high-quality goods that countless people chased after. After completing the transaction with Feng Xiaoxiao, Xing Hui left the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce. Prince Xing Hui, where are we going now? Zhou Buwei, who was acting like a follower, asked. In fact, he had taken the liberty to ask because he hoped that Xing Hui would remember him and remember that he still had to save Miss Wu. Let's go directly to young Master Longquan's residence. Xing Hui did not want to go through so much trouble. Young Master Longquan's servant had captured Wu Yuyao alive and would eventually hand her over to young Master Longquan. Once he captured him, Wu Yuyao would naturally be able to save her. Young Master Longquan? Princess Lan Yu was slightly taken aback when Xing Hui mentioned this person. Could it be that junior brother Xing Hui received a message from Miss Nalan and is representing Miss Nalan to congratulate young Master Longquan? That's strange. If it was in the past, Miss Nalan would naturally give young Master Longquan some face. But now, Miss Nalan has cultivated her qi into qi and her status is not inferior to his sister, Fairy Bu. Why would she send someone over? What congratulation! Young Master Longquan plans to take his 21st concubine in 3 days. As Princess Lan Yu spoke, she curled her lips in disdain. In fact, I'm also representing the Wei Hai Kingdom this time. There's no other way. Dozens of us true disciples, including senior sister Nalan, belong to the Sky Origin Peak Masters faction. Fairy Bu is the Sky Origin Peak Masters favorite. For her sake, even if young Master Longquan is ignorant and incompetent, and uses his sister's name to exploit us, we can only endure it. Young Master Longquan? Fairy Bu? Sky Origin Peak Master? Can you tell me more? Xing Hui had heard of young Master Longquan before. He was a famous playboy in the Eastern Cloud Empire. After learning that young Master Longquan was only in the awakening realm, Xinghui guessed that he must have some background. Otherwise, he would not be able to strut around in the Eastern Cloud Empire. But now, according to Princess Lan Yu, it already involved the Peak Master's level? A Peak Master's disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect had a status equal to a Hall Master. Even Elder Zhuri, who Erishur Yudo had clung onto, was inferior in status in front of young Master Longquan. True disciples of the 10 great sacred lands could not be over 100 years old. A Peak Master's disciple who cultivated to the Spirit and Qi Unite stage in less than 100 years, and an elder who cultivated to the Spirit and Qi Unite stage in 200 or 300 years naturally had different potential. Young Master Longquan is Fairy Biyu's younger brother, and only direct descendant. Fairy Biyu dotes on him a lot. It is said that the reason young Master Longquan was able to reach the awakening realm was because Fairy Biyu poured countless resources into him. Fairy Biyu is one of the first true disciples to join the Sky Origin Peak Master's side. She has been with the Sky Origin Peak Master for more than 50 years, and is one of the Sky Origin Peak Master's most trusted left and right arms. Although her potential is weaker than senior sister Naylin, because she has only awakened a spirit beast bloodline, she has already cultivated to the Qi refining realm, with the help of the Sky Origin Peak Master. Princess Lan Yu's gaze fell on Xinghui as she spoke. She was a little puzzled. Why are you asking about this playboy? It's best not to have any relationship with such a person. It's not easy for you to suppress the incident in the Monster Hunters Association, but you're now involved with Sir Longquan. The consequence of offending Sir Longquan is much more terrifying than offending the Monster Hunters Association. Leave this matter to me. I just hope it won't affect Aunt Naylin. It's not that bad. Although Fairy Biyu is an old acquaintance of Peak Master Void Origin, senior sister Naylin has awakened the bloodline of a sacred beast and reached the Aura realm before the age of 40. She has a bright future ahead of her, and is likely to become a Peak Master in the future. Peak Master Void Origin values her quite a bit, but that's good. Xinghui said, I'll go to young Master Longquan's residence now. I'll go with you. Princess Lan Yu could see that Xinghui was not good with words and hurriedly said, when the time comes, I'll negotiate with young Master Longquan. I only hope that young Master Longquan will give up on taking a concubine for Miss Naylin's sake. Xinghui nodded. He owed Naylin Fei more than a little favor. He could not get rid of this entanglement even if he wanted to. Young Master Longquan had Fairy Biyu's back, and with her status, it was naturally easy for her to occupy a courtyard in the Eastern Sun Imperial capital. The entire courtyard looked like a magnificent palace. With Princess Lan Yu's identity as a true disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, it was not difficult to enter young Master Longquan's residence. However, as Xinghui walked forward, his expression suddenly became a little strange. There were a lot of guards in young Master Longquan's mansion, and there were also a lot of maids. Different from the guards, these maids were all women without exception, and they could be said to have good looks. The only thing that was a little strange was that the atmosphere in the mansion was a little stifling. Otherwise, this kind of place could really be called a man's paradise. This young Master Longquan is addicted to sex, and has done many things like snatching women. It's just that his background is too strong, and he has some foresight, so he doesn't dare to offend those he can't afford to offend. The imperial family of the Eastern Cloud Empire also turns a blind eye to this. But because he has done so many evil things, many forces that have been ruined by him want to settle the score with him. He naturally values his life very much. The guards in his residence are almost as strong as a large sect. Xinghui glanced around and nodded slightly. Along the way, he had already sensed the aura of 6 awakening experts. In the courtyard in front of him, there was an Immortal Level 2 True Qi expert. Immortal Level 2. That was equivalent to a great elder of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. With such an expert protecting young Master Longquan, it was no wonder he could run rampant in the Eastern Cloud Empire. Ha ha ha, so it's senior sister Lanyu. I haven't seen you for a year, and you've become more beautiful. I really feel sorry for you. In a living room, a person immediately came out to greet them. He looked at Princess Lanyu with a smile on his face. His eyes were full of naked desire. Princess Lanyu frowned, but she also knew young Master Longquan's character. She just coldly replied, Junior brother Longquan, you flatter me. How can I compare to junior brother Longquan, who has a group of wives and concubines? My so-called wives and concubines are just a group of ordinary women. How can they be compared to senior sister Lanyu? Haha, it's rare that we haven't seen senior sister Lanyu for a year. Come, let's take a seat. Young Master Longquan said as he went forward to grab Princess Lanyu's hand. Princess Lanyu was already prepared for this. She moved to the side, avoiding his obviously groping hands. Junior brother Longquan is too polite. Allow me to introduce you to this junior brother Ching Su beside me. Junior brother Ching Su is senior sister Nalan's nephew. He is also an awakening realm powerhouse and is very famous. He once single-handedly destroyed the demon hunters union and uprooted the 10,000 Swords Mountain that had been passed down for hundreds of years. Senior sister Nalan? Senior sister Nalan Fei? Young Master Longquan's eyes lit up. Yes, I've seen senior sister Nalan before. She's really beautiful. Her waist is as slender as a willow and her skin is as white as water. Cough cough. Before young Master Longquan finished speaking, an old man beside him coughed and interrupted him. Young Master, please invite the two guests into the living room. Oh right. Young Master Longquan acted as if he couldn't see Princess Lanyu's ugly expression. He gestured with his hand and said, Please come in. Xing Hui, who was behind Princess Lanyu, looked at the old man. He had already used his appraisal technique today, but he could still determine that the old man's cultivation was not much inferior to Feng Xiaoxiao's. An intermediate true Qi realm expert protecting him. Hunyuan heaven sex fairy, Baiyu really doted on him. Princess Lanyu suppressed the disgust she felt for young Master Longquan and entered the living room. She did not want to continue the pleasantries and directly said, We're here to talk about young Miss Wu Yuyao, who was captured by young Master Longquan. I hope young Master Longquan can make an exception and let her go. Wu Yuyao? Young Master Longquan's eyes turned. That little girl? She's of the highest quality. She clearly looks pure, but she's naturally charming. Since I've taken a liking to such a woman, I naturally won't let her go. Junior brother Longquan, young Miss Wu Yuyao is my junior brother Xing Hui's good friend, and junior brother Xing Hui is senior sister Nalan's relative. Isn't it a little unreasonable for you to kidnap junior brother Xing Hui's good friend? Haha. Young Master Longquan suddenly laughed. I'm just joking. No matter how much I like that little girl, I still have to give senior sister Nalan face. However, I don't know who this Xing Hui is. What if someone pretends to be senior sister Nalan's relative and steals the woman I've taken a liking to? Where will I put my face? You. Princess Lanyu's face revealed a trace of anger. Then what do you want? It's simple. If you want to prove whether he's senior sister Nalan's relative, why don't you ask her to come over? As long as senior sister Nalan appears, I will immediately release her. Ask senior sister Nalan to come over? Princess Lanyu's expression turned cold. What kind of status did young Master Longquan have? He was just a cultivator, who was forcefully pushed to the awakening stage with the help of external forces. He didn't even have the qualifications to become a true disciple of the Hunyuan heaven sect. How could he be worthy of senior sister Nalan, who was on equal footing with Fairy Baiyu, personally visit him? Junior brother Longquan, isn't this a little too much? If this matter really gets out, it won't be a good thing for you. Why do you have to cause trouble for your sister? What kind of trouble is this? I just want to verify whether he is a relative of senior sister Nalan or not. You have to know that I have already announced to the world that I am going to take in a new concubine, and the invitation has already been sent out. At this time, who wants me, young Master Longquan, to hand over the concubine in my hands? How can I have a foothold in the Eastern Cloud Empire from now on? You. Xing Hui glanced at Princess Lanyu. How far is this place from the Hunyuan heaven sect? Princess Lanyu glanced at Xinghui. Could it be that he really wants senior sister Nalan to come forward? She thought in her heart, but still answered Xinghui truthfully. It's not far. Once the news is spread, the people of the Hunyuan heaven sect will arrive in 2 or 3 days. If they use a flying boat, it'll only take 1 day. 1 day, Xinghui nodded. He had already made a decision in his heart. At this moment, a servant suddenly appeared outside the living room. When young Master Longquan saw the servant, he laughed loudly and stood up. Is it Wu Yuyao? That little girl has arrived? The servant, who didn't dare to disturb young Master Longquan's reception, hurriedly replied, Yes, young master. Miss Wu has already arrived outside the imperial capital. In an hour, she will be sent to your residence. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.